Good afternoon, everybody. This is indeed the Michael K. Show. We thank you for joining us on a beautiful Thursday. It is March 14th, 2024. Michael K. and Peter Rosenberg with you today. Don has the day off down in Tampa as he gets ready for tonight's Rangers Lightning game. And I don't know if you know this, Peter, but it's Pi Day, 3.14.
Oh, you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm a man who celebrates math. I care about this deeply. Don cares so much about Pi Day, Michael.
He took off. Yeah.
You know, he decided he had to do play-by-play and post for the Rangers to celebrate Pi Day. Kind of guy
That's right. That is correct, my friend. So there you have it. So no Don today, but we've got plenty of stuff to talk about. And, you know, we're going to start off with the Aaron Rodgers situation. So in the last, I guess, hour and a half, Rodgers has released a statement regarding the CNN report that he had confronted Pamela Brown at the Kentucky Derby. I guess it was 10 years ago. That why isn't the mainstream media covering the Sandy Hook tragedy? Because the children were crisis actors. The whole thing was staged, and that there were government officials in black uniforms in the woods beyond the school. The whole deal. And this is the release that was put out. This is by Rodgers, not by the Jets. As I'm on record saying in the past, what happened in Sandy Hook was an absolute tragedy. I am not and have never been of the opinion that the events did not take place. Again, I hope we learn from this and other tragedies to identify the signs that will allow us to prevent unnecessary loss of life. My thoughts and prayers continue to remain with the families affected, along with the entire Sandy Hook community. Now, nowhere in that, I don't want to split hairs here. Nowhere in that does he say that he never said what Pamela Brown and also the unnamed person in the report by CNN said that he said. Never said that. He gave you a little bit of a word salad. I'm on record because there's a clip of him in Green Bay, in a Green Bay news station, talking about the tragedy of Sandy Hook. Now, remember, this is the same guy who said that he was adhering to all of the protocols regarding the vaccine in Green Bay until he was finally discovered that he didn't take the vaccine, which I guess was his right. And as time goes on, it looks like he was more right than those that might have insisted that people take it. He is the master of conspiracy. I mean, there's a great story on Awful Announcing where he was on a conspiracy theorist podcast, which is behind a $12 paywall. So what this guy did from Awful Announcing, he paid the $12 and listened to it. And Aaron thinks everything is a conspiracy theory. Everything. So if you ask me right now, Michael, do you really think that Aaron Rodgers said that to Pamela Brown? I would say yes, I do believe he said that. I do believe he said that.
Well, part of the word salad, Michael, though, if you really get into it, is that he doesn't say that he feels the events didn't happen.
Right.
It leaves room.
In his mind, they did happen. Even when he told Pamela Brown they happened, but they don't happen as they were reported. He said to her that they were crisis actors.
So it's not that it didn't. So again, it's not that it didn't happen. He has a very. If you really look at the little that he said, he manages to say a lot without saying anything, doesn't he? By what he chooses to leave out. I mean, he sort of gave his own statement on gun control in there without saying anything. He sort of manages to skirt whether or not he does have theories about it. It's just specifically not related to that. And then, of course, the biggest omission that says something, no mention of the RFK VP nomination. Because the whole thing could get shut down in the same conversation. By the way, a lot of things are being said right now. Number one, I do not believe that Sandy Hook is a conspiracy. Number two, of course, I will not be the vice presidential nominee for RFK. Boom. Put a bow on it. Michael, he very intentionally did not do that.
He doesn't want to put a bow on it. He's all about this. He is all about, again, I can't recommend highly enough the Awful Announcing story, which leads you down this rabbit hole of how his brain works. He doubts everything. And good, people should question things. We shouldn't just have things thrown at us and just automatically say, yes, that's the case. But everything. And if he ever said that about the Sandy Hook families, I mean, I was sitting here today and I was almost crying. These people have had to go through hell. Every day for the rest of their lives, there's an empty plate at dinner. There were children that still had their baby teeth, that had their bodies blown apart. And this guy is saying that they were crisis actors, according to Pamela Brown. Now, of course, there are so many conspiracy theorists out there, and maybe there always have been, Peter, but now they have a voice on social media. Before, they would sit in their house and put Reynolds wrap, on the windows, and they would wonder, who was screwing who in the world. I get it. So now they have a megaphone. They have a megaphone because of what was Twitter and now is X and everything. So they certainly, and podcasts, they have a voice. They have a voice. So, anybody who doubted that, and the Alex Jones, the right-wing commentator, he's got to pay about $1 billion. I don't think he ever will, to the families of Sandy Hook, because he sold that line too. If it's ever been out there where anything is questioned, where there might be something nefarious going on, I'm telling you, Aaron Rodgers will tend to believe that rather than what's put out in public. He's that guy. And before the thing, I was sitting here wondering what would I say at the open about this, and I was going to give Aaron Rodgers advice, Peter. I was going to say, Aaron, whatever you do, even if you said it, lie, because there's no way that you could survive this if you say, yeah, I did say it. There's no way. So he never refuted Pamela Brown's story. Never. He didn't
Michael,
say.
Can you
I
also
never
give a little context? Can you give a little context to who Pamela Brown is, by the way? Because I do think that's relevant.
Pamela Brown is a reporter at CNN. She's also the daughter of Phyllis George and John Y. Brown, the former governor of Kentucky. That's why she was at the Kentucky Derby. And she was introduced to Aaron Rodgers, according to the story by her and Jake Tapper. Introduced to Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers said, "Oh, you work for CNN? Well, why aren't you guys covering the real story behind Sandy Hook? That it really didn't. Those were actors. There were no children. Blah 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 blah." Again, that's what was reported on CNN. Now, again, everybody out there, as I was going down this path before, everybody out there is a conspiracy theorist. So you read social media. Well, of course CNN's doing this because he might be vice president for Robert F. Kennedy. Well, if she knew it for 10 years, why didn't she report it? Because you know why she didn't report it? Because he was just a quarterback. How does that fit to CNN? But all of a sudden, he's a potential vice presidential candidate. Now it becomes a significant thing. And if Rodgers did come out and say, I did say it, and I think differently now, the Jets would have had a comment on it. The Jets would have to distance themselves from him. I'm sorry. I said it yesterday. He is so toxic. He makes your stomach turn. And when you see people that cover the NFL, they all just shake their head and go, no surprise. This is who this guy is. This is who the Jets, in desperation, chose to get into bed with. It's unbelievable. And as you said, Peter, I think the thing that stands out like a sore thumb, here's your opportunity to say, I'm not a candidate for the vice president. I just care about the Jets. This guy is that guy. That's who he is. That's who he's always been. He endears himself to athletes because he's a great, great, great football player. And Jet fans today, most of them, I'd say like 80%, they don't care if he even did say that stuff about Sandy Hook. They just care that he's great. They just care that he gives them a chance to win the Super Bowl. I'm going to tell you something that you'll all probably laugh at. If I have to win a Super Bowl with a guy who said that, if he did in fact say that, I'll pass. I don't want the Super Bowl with a guy like that.
Yeah,
but he did deny it, so we have to, kind of quasi-denied it. So we just have to say, okay, he said he didn't say it. We got to believe him.
Yeah, there's a few ways to look at that. Number one, the thing that sticks out to me is you see this disconnect between the way his teammates think of him and the way the media thinks of him. The easy way for that to be looked at by the consumer and fellow athletes is because the media are a bunch of haters and we don't understand what goes on inside those walls. Michael, can I give my opinion on what it really is?
Please.
It's because the players he plays with are basically 15, 20 years his junior. He was like a hero in football growing up, and now they get to know him. And guess what? He's a really cool, nice guy, and he's Aaron Rodgers. So guess what? Essentially, these teammates are basically fanboys. Like, they're like, oh, my God, I play with Aaron Rodgers. I know Aaron Rodgers. He's super cool. And, oh, yeah, by the way, just to be real with you guys, most of these people are under 27 years old, of which their opinions, with all due respect, on world issues, I don't give a damn about in the first place. I'm going to just keep it real with you. So a lot of the people who are quick to say he's the best, they're not in an objective position. They're in this teammate fanboy position. And by the way, we watch Hard Knocks. He seems like a cool, fun guy to be around. The problem is he always finds himself in some stuff. Now, in this case, if I'm an Aaron Rodgers defender, and I'm not an Aaron Rodgers hater, but I'm not an Aaron Rodgers defender, I'm thinking he didn't do anything here, guys. He in this particular case, was minding his own business, spending his off season doing drugs, right? Out in the middle of the forest. By the way, isn't that a great sign when the number one way that you can defend your franchise quarterback? No, it's not what you think. He wasn't aware of what was going on. He was doing hallucinogenics in the woods. That is the best case way to describe what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. So I understand how you would defend it that way and say, wait, what did he do? But now we're in the moment. He can distance himself. He can easily make this quiet down. And while he did put out a statement, that was fine. It gave a little bit of Chat GPT vibes, generic apology, but it said the requisite things. He still didn't distance himself from the entire conversation, and we all know he probably won't do that until RFK makes the decision. So you can defend it, and you can say he didn't spawn this entire thing happening, but he somehow always finds a way to allow it to keep going. And then if you really want to defend him, you got to go, Michael, I just find it hilarious. You got to go, hey, it's not his fault. He was doing crazy drugs out in the woods. It's kind of crazy. Is that all not sounding bonkers to people?
It sends you down a path that you usually don't get sent down with athletes. You just don't. And again, why I'm somewhat dubious about this quote unquote denial. It's on the record. The kid that was with the Packers, Deshaun Kaiser. He met Aaron Rodgers. Do you believe in 9/11? Kaiser said, yeah. Well, maybe you should read some books. This is who this guy is. And I know there are people out there, and believe me, I don't really want to entertain you guys today.
Well, especially because can't we all have different views on a lot of things, right? And I know Aaron Rodgers has been a lightning rod because of a lot of different issues. And I know people probably won't believe this because I think, Michael, people have made up their mind on these issues. I swear to you, I do not dislike Aaron Rodgers because of his vaccine stance. Yes, I was vaccinated and got a booster. I don't care that Aaron Rodgers was anti-vax. Do I think it was lame that he sort of pretended that he was and was disingenuous? Yeah, I thought that whole thing was lame. I think he talks about it like a know-it-all. I think we could have a conversation without looking down at each other. But listen, I'm sure we're all guilty of that in subjects like this. But I have to admit, and that's why, if you remember, Michael, I was struck the second I saw the tweet yesterday, whatever it was. Can't we all just agree, as people who live in this area, who remember the day that Sandy Hook happened so well, can't we agree that's not a political issue? Can't we all agree that to suggest anything was nefarious, or that the people who suffered through those losses didn't suffer through those losses? Can't we just agree that to suggest that is basically evil? And to put those people who've already lost their babies through anything else? Honestly, the whole Alex Jones thing and all the people who believed in that idea, Michael, I've experienced a lot of differences of opinion in this country. I don't know if I've ever been more embarrassed, like sickeningly embarrassed and worried about our society, than I was when people wanted to put those people through more than they've already been through. So I just think this is one issue, Michael, where we don't have to have a discourse about the actual meat and potatoes of it. We can all agree that if it was said, it's abhorrent. Can't we?
I think that's extraordinarily well said. Those that think that it didn't happen, I'd like the explanation for why. To what end?
Do you really want that, though?
I mean, but I just wonder. I was they so the people that have these crackpot theories, to what end? Why was it staged? What, so that they could get rid of guns in this country? It didn't accomplish anything
at all.
And also, if these people are actors, they get what the parents have. It's a 10-year role they got. They continue to play that. Who's paying them? Again, conspiracy theories, you can laugh at it, and then you could get sick to your stomach about it. Anybody who believed that was something that didn't take place. I'm sorry, it's going to come off really bad, but I'm going to say it. You all deserve to feel the pain that those parents feel at some point in your life. You deserve it. You deserve to feel that. And if Aaron felt like that, he deserves to feel the pain too. He's saying he didn't say it, so we have to take him at his word. But again, in that statement, nowhere in that statement was, I never told Pamela Brown that. He assiduously left that out. And then the story of the whole week that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is considering him as a vice president. He didn't shut that down either. Congratulations, Jets. I'll use Peter's line. You played yourself. You sold your soul for a guy who's all about himself, who thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. I give him credit. He's smart. He's not as smart as he thinks, though. He's not as smart as he thinks. I think he's overtly not as smart as he thinks. He thinks he's a genius. So you have all these conspiracy theories. You don't have answers, though. You have great questions. Everybody has questions that have conspiracy. Give me answers, then. Give me the real answers. Go to the phones, 1-800-919-3776. Tommy in Connecticut, why don't you start it off?
Hey, Tommy.
Hey, what's up, boys? I lost basically all respect in Aaron Rodgers today. I did not respond originally to the school, but I was there for that entire weekend, and the worst day of my life was driving parents and teachers back to go pick up their cars from the parking lot. And anybody who ever says that was a hoax is out of their minds, because I saw the look in these fathers and mothers' eyes, and I'm done with Aaron Rodgers. I'm done with him.
It's hard for me to say that you're wrong. Again, to be fair to him, he's saying that he never questioned that it happened. Again, word salad. Did it happen, but it wasn't real? Do you believe that those children were really children that lived on this earth and that their place at their dinner table is no longer set anymore? It will be empty for the rest of that family's lives, and they will have a hole in their heart. Do you believe that, Aaron? There are a lot of things. I mean, you release a statement when you have a bully pulpit that you could go on in Pat McAfee, and it will give you an hour and a half, 2 hours to explain yourself. Instead, you put out a 5-line statement that doesn't say anything other than tries to get you extracted from this mess. You must be, if you did say it, and now you release a statement like that, I wonder if in a quiet moment in your quiet place or when you're on ayahuasca, if you're embarrassed with yourself.
Also, you have to take ownership, because again, I can already hear the Jet fanboys, the Rodgers defenders, and the people who just hate those of us with this opinion saying, oh, you don't have any proof. Why are you making this up? Pamela Brown made this up. Whatever they're going to say. What credibility does he have at this point that we wouldn't believe it's likely true? How many different things has he said at one point or another where you have to give him this plausible deniability again? Here we are again. He had the whole thing, the whole back and forth with Jimmy Kimmel, where it sounded like he was implying one thing about the Epstein list. No, it wasn't that. Then how many different things are you going to sound like a quack about and still think you get a free pass that you've never had a moment like that, guys? At a certain point, when there's smoke over and over and over again, is there fire?
Again, and I said this earlier, I believe it. If somebody said to me, you must give me an answer, do you think he said it? Yeah, I think he said it.
Well, here Ballard just texted me with an absolutely, I know you're not a huge fan, Michael, but
Ballard, have for years.
A brilliant point. If Rodgers said this to a CNN reporter he didn't know at a Kentucky Derby party, almost 1,000% that was not a one-on-one setting, then he has absolutely said this to other people, and we will probably hear about it soon if he did.
But
that wasn't his first time saying it, if he said it.
Well, because there was also an unnamed source that also corroborated that it was said to that person too, but didn't want to give their name because they did not want the pushback and the threats and all of that come in this crazy world in which we live. So I'm sure he said it to many, many people. But again, those that don't want to believe are not going to want to believe because one of the narratives today, well, CNN's doing that to ruin RFK Jr.'s campaign. Number one, RFK Jr. is not winning as president of the United States. He has no chance. I guess number two, which is what some people will say, CNN's trying to protect Biden because if RFK Jr. does in fact run, it probably takes votes away from Biden rather than Trump.
Which, I don't even agree with that sentiment, but
I'm not sure how to think. I've thought it over. I can go either way. I kind of lean toward it would probably take votes away from Biden because I think anybody that would vote for RFK probably was leaning toward voting for Trump. No,
well, that would help Biden.
Yeah, no. They don't want to vote for Trump, but they feel sick about voting for Biden because they hate Biden. But they would vote for Biden because they don't like Trump. But now, if there's an alternative, they'll vote for RFK. Those votes will not go to Trump, but they will not go to Biden either.
But think about it. This is all such a reach. Like, no one knows what's going to happen and how much of it. That would all be just so. No one wins. But this doesn't benefit anyone. Tearing down Aaron Rodgers and RFK Jr. He has a lower chance of winning than Michelle Obama, according to Vegas, who is not a politician and is not running for president.
Let's go to Kevin in Somers. Kevin.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I just want to piggyback what you've been saying about Aaron Rodgers and this guy just being a whack job and what he said, if he said it about Sandy Hook. The Jets got everything they got in regards to this guy. He's totally selfish, and it's always about him. And I just have a funny RFK Jr. story.
Okay.
I actually know him. My wife used to live with him when she was a kid, and when I got married, he was the only guest that I did not get a gift from. So I know that relates to, like, Peter.
No.
True story. To my kids, that's 100% true.
He was invited to your wedding because he was a family friend of your wife.
Of my wife. Yep.
And did not give a gift at your wedding.
Did not. Gave a speech, but did not. I thought, at the beginning.
Wait, he was close enough to give a speech, but he did not give a gift.
100% true.
Kevin, you know what it could be? I mean, Peter could speak to this. Maybe he inadvertently sent it to the venue, and you're still having.
That did happen with me. That is true. Maybe it's still. How long ago were you married?
I got married in 2019.
Yeah. So did he bring Cheryl Hines?
I'm sorry.
Did he bring his wife, Cheryl Hines?
Well, this is pre.
No, he just brought his son.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
I'm sorry you got stiffed on the gift, Kevin.
That's
I know that
right.
hurts. That's a plate that you paid for that you don't get money back for. That you don't get money back.
No.
I think there's a little bit of hypocrisy thrown into the Aaron Rodgers situation.
Oh.
And I'll talk about it in just a moment. But first, Peter's going to talk about FanDuel.
Is that what?
Let's turn now for the Big East tournament update brought to you by Schweppes. And today in the quarterfinals at the Garden, UConn beat Xavier 87-60. At the half right now, St. John's leads Seton Hall 45-40. The night session, 7 p.m., it'll be Providence against Creighton. And then at about 9:30, it'll be Villanova against Marquette. That's the Big East Tournament Update presented by Schweppes. Schweppes offers above-the-rim refreshment and is proud to sponsor the Big East Conference. Enjoy the madness. Take a break from the hoops action with a Schweppes Seltzer or Schweppes Ginger Ale. So when I read the awful announcing story about all the things he was talking about with conspiracy, one thing that he really, truly believes, and a lot of people believe this, is that the whole COVID thing was manufactured to be a transfer of wealth to everybody in Big Pharma. That there were billions of dollars made by Big Pharma. And for those that don't know that term, pharmaceutical companies, Big Pharma. He plays for Woody Johnson and Christopher Johnson. They are heirs to the Johnson & Johnson fortune. They are members of the Johnson & Johnson family. They, in fact, had to benefit from the vaccine that company made. Yet you seem to have no problem whatsoever playing for the Jets. So isn't that a little hypocritical? Just a little bit? I know that Woody's not in there making the vaccine, but his family and his legacy benefited from the COVID-19 vaccine. So if you really believe that COVID-19 was a manufactured thing, and I mean, he has a lot of hatred toward Anthony Fauci, who he felt like was part of the orchestration of all of this, well, then how do you find it within yourself to play for Woody Johnson and Christopher Johnson? Again, they are Johnsons of the Johnson & Johnson family. Just asking, if you're going to be into conspiracies, I'm going to be asking questions about things too. Does that make sense that you would even want to play for them? Because the money that you're getting, it might be, I don't know, dirty money. If you truly believe, in your eyes, if Big Pharma benefited wrongly from a vaccine that you determine how you think it happened, but if you think that it was a transfer of wealth, then some of that money is coming to you. How do you reconcile that? Just questions, Peter. Just questions.
All you can do is ask questions.
Let's go to Brian in Milburn. Brian.
Hello, how you doing, Michael K?
Good, how are you?
Sorry. All right, I got to say, you're right about what you're saying about that. It is dirty money if you truly believe in conspiracy. That was a good observation, hands down. If you believe in what you're saying, then why would you be playing for him? Now, I'm going to say this. The reason why he probably think the way he do, because he hangs around them. He's in a tax bracket with them. I'm not saying he said the Sandy thing, but it makes sense why he feels skeptical about certain things. Because he rubber elbows with these people, and he know what's really going on. When we don't, we're not really at their house, at their parties.
Brian, he's not hanging around with Woody Johnson. He might play for them. His $35 million, Woody Johnson scoffs at that. Billionaires scoff at that. He's not on that level. And if there is a Illuminati, he's not part of the Illuminati. So where exactly is he getting this information? Where is he getting it? He gets his information. He does a lot of reading, and he reads things that support questions. And again, as I said at the start of the show, you can question whatever you want. I think that's healthy to question. Don't just take things at face value and say, "Oh yeah, that's right." You go get info. But it seems like he's getting info from places that are going to provide the information that he might lean toward believing. I mean, in the awful announcing story, he said on that podcast that mainstream media is not reliable. He thinks that a guy like Joe Rogan does an incredible service to people, and that if you really want unvarnished things, go on X. I mean, this is how he gets his information. I mean, you could find a lot of wacky things on X if you look for it. You really want to do a deep dive and really, really fall down the rabbit hole, go on all social media sites. You'll find it. If you're looking for it, you're going to find it. And I've said this many times on the show before. If, in fact, you want to question things, and if, in fact, you don't believe what's out there in the world, all you have to do is find the place that is your echo chamber, and it will back up what you think. That's all there is to it. Let's go to Nick in Manasquan. Nick.
Hey, Michael. How are you, buddy?
I'm all right. How are you doing, Nick?
I'm just excited to talk to you because I didn't know if that got put on hold or not or whatever. I just wanted to call and get through to you, man. I love you a long time. I just want to say you're hearing what Aaron's saying wrong. He's not saying that it didn't happen. What he's saying is there was an agenda behind it, possibly with the guns or whatever, but he's not saying that it didn't happen, and you're killing me because I love you that you keep thinking that. He's saying that it was like a planned hit. And then when you look at those crisis actors, I did the rabbit hole dive on it. There's a kid in a yellow jacket. He keeps circling in the school, out of the school. You see the same people circling, and when you look at it, it's very strange.
So you believe that you believe that this didn't happen, Nick? That it was a government thing?
No. So you just said it again. No one's saying it didn't happen. The shooters are different.
So wait, so real quick though, it's not. So just in entertaining what you're saying, what you believe he thinks and other people like him think. They are not suggesting that those children were not murdered. They're suggesting that the people who did it are not who we think did it.
Yeah, he's gone, but.
I have to hope that's what he's trying to say.
But again, if what Pamela Brown is saying is true, that Rodgers said to her, he said that the children were actors.
Well, maybe he doesn't mean the victims were actors. Maybe he means someone. But now we're mincing words on crazy talk. And again, I am no longer willing, unfortunately, to give Aaron the benefit of the doubt. because I just don't have reason to. I'm sorry, right? It's like when Kanye says something. At this point, I go, yeah, bro, I've heard enough. I get a gauge of who you are. I'm not saying it means that Aaron's evil. Maybe he doesn't think anything evil. He's just really questioning something. But I no longer have faith in the things that you say at all.
You know, there's a guy on X. He said, you know, I turned the show off because of the Rodgers BS. It's not relevant to sports. It's him as a person. Unless he's doing really bad things that affect how the world functions, it doesn't matter. I'm tired of hearing it. So if the quarterback of the Jets questioned the validity of what happened to Sandy Hook, that doesn't even impact you at all. You know what? Then you shouldn't listen to the show because you're not smart enough to listen to the show.
Well, and also,
if you can't accept some like negativity into your world about your sainted quarterback, then that's a you issue, not a K-show issue.
But also, let's just be realistic, guys. You don't have to agree with us. You can feel however you want about it. We're not going to pretend that the Aaron Rodgers off the field stuff is not a sports story. I'm sorry. We're supposed to walk with blinders on and just wait for him to play again? Well, bad news. He hasn't played. He hasn't played in a very long time, and yet he's still in the news all the time. He's one of the greatest football players who ever lived. I'm just be reasonable, people. That doesn't relate to sports.
People are funny. Let's go to George in New Jersey. George.
Hey, guys. How you doing? I'm a 52-year-old Jets fan, and I've been a Jets fan since I was 7 or 8. And Aaron Rodgers gave me one of the greatest moments when we signed him, and now one of the worst moments. As a Jet fan, he owes it to me to come out, deny the report, deny the fact that he's going to be vice president, and say, I'm here to win a Super Bowl. That's it. I'm sick of it as a Jet fan, these stories, and he has to put an end to these stories, all right? How do I root for a man like that? How do I do it? I just don't know what to do.
You know what, George? You know what? This is a really good call because I don't know. I mean, how do you separation of power? You know, state and church. How do you do it? So the man that he is doesn't matter, and also, well, you know, it doesn't have any effect on sports. The vice presidential thing has no effect on how he. And I'm going to tell you something, Peter. I truly believe this. I think there's a chance that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will name him as his running mate. And to make things even crazier, to make it more bizarro, he will remain quarterback of the Jets and campaign.
I can see it.
Because, you know, Joe Biden, you know, they mocked him in 2020 for being in his basement. You don't have to, you know, go shaking hands anymore. There's ways to reach people. I can see him doing that. That's why he did not deny it today. Either it's a play to help RFK Jr. get a lot of publicity, or he's really seriously going to be the vice presidential candidate, and then the Jets are going to have a guy who's running for vice president of the United States playing quarterback. It's the most Jetsian thing of all time. The most Jetsian thing of all time. And if the Jets allow it, shame on them, and they should be embarrassed.
You mean if they
allowed him to actually... And it's also interesting, too, because in this awful announcing story, he's very, very anti-Trump. How does that affect Woody, who obviously is pro-Trump and was Trump's ambassador to Great Britain? And then you want a guy who's playing quarterback, dividing his time between campaigning for the presidency and playing quarterback for the team. But he doesn't want any outside noise. He doesn't want any of that BS, his words, right? That's what he said.
You got to tighten things up in there. Got to shut out the noise, yep.
Well, Rich Cimini has covered the Jets over 30 years, was on, I believe it was DNR this morning, and he was talking about the distractions with Aaron Rodgers. Here's what he said.
It's a hypocritical comment for sure. I mean, I was standing about 10 feet away from him when he made that comment, and I applauded it at the time, but because it's a leader taking charge, you know, and coming out and, you know, laying down the law, so to speak. But here we are, you know, a few months later, and he seems to be violating his own edict. So, yeah, I think the first opportunity we get to talk to him, which probably won't be until May in OTAs, that's going to be one of the first questions I ask, and he'll probably say something like he wasn't even in the building, it was on his own time. So that would probably be his answer. But, yeah, I think it's a fair criticism of him right now, given what he said.
I don't know how you reconcile it. You don't want noise. And you know what? I'm not dumb. I know how you reconcile it. You reconcile it the way Saleh would reconcile it with us when he was on with us last year. Oh, that doesn't permeate the building. Nonsense. Nonsense. How can that permeate the building? Now, I don't think it affects them because, as Peter said so adroitly earlier, players don't care. Players don't care about this. They idolize the guy. He knows their name. He takes them out. He'll take them to a Knick game. They don't care. He's Aaron Rodgers. I idolized him as a kid. But don't tell me that coaches aren't talking about it. If you talk about it for 5 minutes, that's 5 minutes that are taken away from preparing for your opponent and preparing for the season.
I have one bit of good news, though.
What's that?
If, in fact, this all comes crashing down, your quarterback will not be Zach Wilson. It's not official yet, but it won't be, right? It will be Tyrod Taylor. You at least, the only silver lining, Michael, is it won't be a complete deja vu all over again of having to watch Zach Wilson go out and listen to Robert Saleh sell us on how, no, we really trust Zach. He's really getting it. He's just got to, get everything lined up. We'll at least be moved on from that.
But I don't think that's great news either because, this is a team that's been built to win a Super Bowl. And if Aaron Rodgers goes down, Tyrod Taylor will not win them a Super Bowl. I don't think he'll get them into the playoffs.
No, I don't. Unfortunately, I don't think so either. I think he's totally a good enough player to, if you have a 3-game stretch where you need him, go 2-1 or 1-2 and bridge the gap for you. No, I agree. But I just don't think I could mentally, intellectually suffer another season of watching the Zach Wilson story again.
Well, it's game time, Peter. Brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. It's a busy night. Busy night in New York sports. The Knicks are out west taking on the Trailblazers with coverage starting at 9:30 on 98.7 ESPN. Going to be interesting to see how they perform out there. That was a big win against the Sixers. How do they play on the West Coast now? The Rangers are in Tampa to face the Lightning with coverage at 6:30 on 1050. Don LaGreca is on the call. The Islanders play the Sabres in Buffalo, which can be heard on the ESPN New York app starting at 7. And the Devils battle the Stars in Dallas at 8. We told you about the Big East. St. John's playing Seton Hall right now. That's at halftime. The Johnnies are up by 5. That's game time. Brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. Because when it's game time, it's Tully time. Tullamore Dew, the original triple distilled, triple blended, and triple cask matured Irish whiskey. Be sure to grab a Tullamore Dew or try the brand new Tullamore Dew Honey during tonight's action. Glasses up to enjoying Tullamore Dew responsibly. 1-800-919-3776. We'll come back, take more of your phone calls, have some Yankee news as well about their opening day starter. A lot of stuff to do, a lot of stuff to talk about. But first, Peter wants to talk about a car. Well, this portion of the Michael K. Show on 98.7 ESPN is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of New Rochelle. Visit Mercedes-Benz of New Rochelle, proud member of the Pepe Auto Group, the name you've trusted since 1968. It's time now for the Pinstripe Report, brought to you by Samwell Institute for Pain Management. Yankees don't have an opening day starter. Garrett Cole, we know for sure, is not making opening day on March 28th in Houston against the Astros. The Yankees, according to reports out of Tampa today, spoke with Marcus Stroman and asked him if he'd want to be considered for that, and he said no. He said he wants to stay on his program, which would have him start the third game of the season and would, in fact, have him start opening day at Yankee Stadium on the next Friday. Now, the two other candidates that they have, Clark Schmidt and Nestor Cortez, they've already eliminated Rodon. They said Rodon starting the second game. So the two other candidates, Clark Schmidt and Nestor Cortez, are pitching a split game tomorrow. That will not line them up for the opener either. So who's starting opening day? Would they actually start opening day with an opener where they have Ian Hamilton out of the bullpen and try to piece it together? What a look that would be for a team with a $300 million payroll. Now, I hear a lot of it. I feel it. I'm looking at it and seeing it on social media. Why don't the Yankees just get Snell or Montgomery? And they tried to get Dylan Cease, and Cease ends up getting traded to the Padres. Particularly galling and painful for the Yankees that one of the main pieces going back to the White Sox from the Padres is Drew Thorpe. Why is that painful? Because Drew Thorpe came out of the Yankee farm system and was part of the Juan Soto deal. So the Yankees send Drew Thorpe to San Diego as part of the Juan Soto deal. And then the Padres used that and 4 other big prospects to throw to Chicago to get Dylan Cease. So Dylan Cease is out. The Yankees were in on it. A couple of other teams were in as well. They could match up. So now Yankee fans want them to spend the money on Snell or Montgomery, and I don't think they're going to do that. And I think that the Yankees are thinking, listen, if we lose Cole for 2 months, we could piece it together. We've got enough to piece it together to make out those 8-9 starts and do the best we can and just try to slug it out. But, Peter, it would be an awful, awful optic if a $300 million payroll team has to start the season with an opener in order to, have enough pitching to work.
Oh, my God. Oh, boy. You know who I'm worried about in all this?
Who?
Me.
Why is that?
How am I going to survive if it's like this all year?
I don't know.
How am I going to survive a summer of Yankee misery? First of all, I declared my Yankee loyalty this year.
I know that was important.
Yeah, they're the New York team I'm rooting for. I was pushed by one of our listeners, and I'm doing it. And I just don't feel like another year of this nonsense. But what can you do?
And I certainly don't want to get into a hissing match with Marcus Stroman. And I don't understand, staying in your program and getting ready. So I'm going to plead ignorance. I think I have a pretty good idea. But isn't there an honor to opening the season as a starter for the New York Yankees? And I mean, the game has really, really changed, where they ask you if you want to start opening day, and you actually could say no. I imagine Casey Stengel asking Whitey Ford, we want you to start. Nah, I'd rather start the third game. It's a different world, man. Can you imagine what the Yankees felt? They're offering the guy the honor of being the opening day starter of the 2024 season. No, I want to stay on my program. Wow.
Is that a thing?
That's what he said.
But
that's
is that
being
a
reported.
thing from anyone else? Is that a normal thing that someone would say?
One thing that I've learned about Stroman, he's really into how he prepares, and he's on a program, and he doesn't want to deviate from that. So, and I also believe that if you start him opening day, he's not starting the home opener. And I think that means an awful lot to him to start the home opener at the stadium against the Toronto Blue Jays. But I can't put words in his mouth. I'm sure that I can't say I'm sure, but I hope that that's not the reason why I said, I'm going to pass and I'll continue to start the third game of the season. But it's a different world, everybody. For those that call in, just rub dirt on it and we're not there anymore. Where a pitcher could say, no, I'm good. I want to start the third game, not the opener. Marcus Stroman decided he wanted to start the third game. And for some reason, the Yankees don't want Rodon to start the opener. Maybe they don't want to put that pressure on him. And the other two guys, it just doesn't line up that way. Cortez and Schmidt, it doesn't line up that way. I'm sure they would love to start the opener. Maybe they'll push it. Again, if you're pushing a guy like Cortez who had shoulder issues last year, you're pushing a young guy like Schmidt. I think Schmidt has the confidence that he'd take the bull by the horns and say, let me do it. But unless they make a big acquisition, and it'd have to be an acquisition on a team that's, a player that's on a team right now has been preparing for spring training. It can't be Snell and it can't be Montgomery, because even if they swallow hard and sign one of those two guys, they're not going to be ready for the opener. So there's got to be somebody on the roster. Would it be Will Warren? Would it be Chase Hampton? Would it be Luis Gil, who has looked great? They do 100 miles an hour the other day in his start. So the Yankees have not announced who their opener is going to be.
I got to tell you, it's hard for me to not just have a little bit of a at Marcus Stroman's first thing here as a Yankee being like, I'll pass on opening day. I mean, I'm sorry. It's a little bit of a
Yeah, but again, I'm not defending him, but I am saying he is a creature of habit who likes to stay on his routine, and that will get him off his routine. He's been planning the entire spring to start the third game, but optically, it's something that makes you scratch your head a bit.
You don't have enough time right now to adjust your routine?
I don't know. We're not pitchers, so we don't know what that routine is. So that's the best answer I could give you.
And I don't want to be the old guy who would say back in the days, they would say, I don't know about no damn routine. Just hand me the ball. I'm going to go out there and throw.
And I got to tell you, I'm not up for the fight with Marcus on social media.
Yeah, I hear you. But he's been quiet, hasn't he?
Well, no, absolutely. But,
By the way, the university that I went to, I can't even call them my team right now because it's so disgusting, is in the middle of maybe the worst loss I can recall for this team.
Before you do that, let me close out the Yankees. That's the Pinstripe Report, brought to you by Samwell Institute for Pain Management. For a pain-free life, visit SamwellPain.com today. And now, Peter, I'm going to hand to you the tournament update driven by Nissan. So tell us what Maryland's doing.
Well, this would be the Big Ten tournament, Michael, second round action.
Yeah, they're not in the ACC anymore.
They are not. And the Maryland Terrapins, the glorious 12 seed in the Big Ten tournament, is down. They are down 72-35 with 9.5 minutes left in the second half to Wisconsin. Yeah, Michael, they're more than doubled up. They're down 72-35. My proud Terrapins.
Didn't you make fun of Fordham yesterday? Yeah, I thought you did. Yeah,
I was joking, but you know what? I deserve it.
What the F?
You can't take it back, can you?
Can't. Sorry, it doesn't fix the lamp.
Another update from the Garden with 14:53 remaining in a second. St. John's pulling away from Seton Hall, 56-43. I would think if St. John's wins this game, they're getting an at-large bid. And with Seton Hall, that does add some questions. If they don't win this game, do they have enough to get an at-large bid? We'll have to see. That's the tournament. Oh, now it's 56-47. Okay. But St. John's still in the lead. That was the tournament update driven by Nissan. Coming at you with all of the excitement of a Hollywood blockbuster, the Nissan Thrill of the Drive sales event. Shop impressive savings at NissanUSA.com today. I do want to remind everybody that Weezer is coming to Madison Square Garden on Wednesday, September 11th for their Voyage to the Blue Planet tour. ESPN New York has your chance to score tickets at ESPNNewYork.com or on the ESPN New York app. Just scroll down the contest and submit your entry. Brought to you by Live Nation. Tickets go on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. We're going to hear from Saquon Barkley when we come back, but first, Peter wants to tell you about FanDuel. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Field Yates reporting that wide receiver Corey Davis, who stepped away from football in August, has applied for reinstatement to the league. The Jets are expected to release Davis from the reserve retired list today. And according to Field, a return to New York on a new contract is, in fact, in play. Any appetite for a Giants Odell Beckham reunion? Do I have that appetite?
Mm-hmm. He's being released by Baltimore.
I wouldn't be dead against it, but I don't think that moves the needle for me.
No, I don't think at this point you're talking about grabbing a number one receiver anymore, but I did like the role that he played for Baltimore last year.
Yeah, is the juice worth the squeeze? He didn't make much noise last year.
No. Got him. He's a dad now. He's got himself a Super Bowl ring. Anthony, you immediately said no. You think you would not be worth it?
No, I wouldn't. And Rich Samini made a good point on DNR. He's an FOA. Friend of Aaron.
Oh, boy.
So that could be where he goes.
Interesting. Saquon Barkley chose the Eagles, as you know, Peter.
No, I know.
And he had his press conference, and he talked about choosing the Eagles. Here's Saquon.
When it came to my attention that the Eagles were one of the teams that were interested in me, I definitely got excited about it. Obviously, we got everything wrapped up and, just put my signature to the paper. But from watching from afar, everything that they're about, the culture here, the fans here, definitely got super excited about it. And I'm just happy to be a part of this organization. I'm ready to go.
All right, then he was asked about going from the Giants to the Eagles.
When I put this hoodie on, it's definitely a little different. And, seeing my daughter there, put it on the Philadelphia Eagles stuff. He's seen we've been on the worst side of the rivalry, I guess you could say, for the past couple of years. But I'm happy. I'm happy to be a Philadelphia Eagle. Like I said, I take pride in it. I'm going to take pride in this organization. I'm going to take pride in my community. That's something that I try my best to do in New York and New Jersey. So I look forward to that. Also make an impact in my community. And I'm excited. Like I said, the business side of it's over. And we get to keep the main thing, and let's go play ball.
Now, Saquon was asked if he had a message to Giant fans.
The Giants fans that were hurt about me leaving, I got nothing but love and respect for all those guys and, all those ladies and just the fans. For the last 6 years, they've been great to me, to my family, created so many memories. I don't think I really handled it the right way on social media. I think I could have gave a proper goodbye. Like I said, once I announced, everything kind of got hectic. But yeah, I'm forever grateful for the Giants fans and so thankful for them. But unfortunately, the NFL is a business. And I was able to get to a place that I know I can come here, I can compete, and I can win. I can stay close to home. I'm just happy that I was able to, be part of this team.
You know what? You have to like that, Peter. You didn't like the way he played it out on social media, and he admitted he could have been better.
God, even when he makes mistakes, he does it the right way. Like, that was something that I feel like, Michael, 99.9% of the league makes no apology or has anything to say about that.
Right.
I really firmly feel that way. So the fact that he actually then took the time to say, hey, that wasn't cool, I just love that dude, man. Because he's right. It wasn't the perfect thing. It was probably his first misstep he's had with the public since he got here, and he makes amends for it there. So I thought he was going to say something interesting, controversial. Nope. Sounds like it was exactly what we thought, Michael. He sort of got his feathers ruffled a bit by the Tiki situation, understandably. And said something he regretted, and you understand everything he says. Beautiful way for him to end up rolling out.
All right, now, there are allegations of tampering. His college coach at Penn State, James Franklin, said that there was contact between the GM of the Eagles, Howie Roseman, and Saquon Barkley before any kind of contact would be allowed. It's interesting. The NFL is looking into it, and if, in fact, that did happen, Giants are going to get themselves a draft pick. Anyway, Saquon talked about the tampering allegations.
Coach Franklin, I think, kind of misinterpreted. The truth was the sell pitch to Penn State, how many Penn State fans are Philadelphia Eagles fans, but that was through my agent, and my agent told me that. So it happens, and I'm going to let the Philly handle that.
So he's denying it, and he's putting it on Franklin that he misunderstood. But you know what? They'll grab a cell phone, they'll look at phone records, they'll see if, in fact, there was any contact whatsoever. It's not as easy in the world now to lie, because there's a lot of receipts out there. I mean, people that think that they could get away with where they were, as long as they have a cell phone, everybody talks about, the Chinese are following us on TikTok. Everybody's being followed. Everybody. Just say, by the way, turn your phone off and just discuss that, because, I wonder how I'm going to get rid of this psoriasis. You'll have like 16 psoriasis emails in a matter of hours. So
well,
you're being followed.
You might have already done that for people just by saying those words right now.
Right. So you'll get psoriasis come-ons. So there you go. But if it's out there, I'm sure that there's some kind of digital footprint, and the NFL will find out. Or maybe Saquon will just destroy his phone like Tom Brady did. But that didn't get Tom Brady off the hook, because by destroying his phone, and and watching that, the documentary, the Patriot Dynasty, I kind of understood now why he destroyed his phone. First of all, you're handing it over to people you don't know, that you don't trust. There could be private pictures on there. There could be, credit card stuff. There could be money statements. There could be things you don't want people to see. So whether or not he was texting the people that deflated the balls, I'm sure that's what it looks like. But maybe he also didn't want anybody to see his private stuff. Could be, right?
Sure. Absolutely. There's always a reason for that.
Yeah, but I would gladly hand over my phone.
We know, Michael, there's nothing for anyone to see. Okay, a big Schefter bomb.
Let's hear it.
The Washington Commanders are trading last year's starter Sam Howell to the Seahawks in a pick swap. The Seahawks will receive Sam Howell and a 4th-round pick plus a 6th-round pick. What the hell are we getting here? They sent number 102, number 179, and Sam Howell for the Commanders to get a 3rd-rounder, number 78, and a 5th at 152. Now, I know you have not been paying much attention, as I'm guessing most are probably not, to the Commies free agency.
Right.
I got to tell you, though, man, the way this dude Peters is operating is pretty cool to watch. It's not sexy stuff. It's not flashy stuff. but they've just added like 15 players, young studs, veterans, and they still have an obscene amount of cap space this year and next year. He's doing some things. By the way, Sam Howell, I want to give Michael credit. He always lied by saying that I said he was the greatest thing ever. I never said that, but I did say I thought the kid could maybe play, and he was traded after his first season playing. So
now it's funny because you just brought up how I always toy with you about that, and the trade, it kind of surprises me because Sam Howell does have skill.
He does.
And okay, I'm done. So who's the quarterback that they signed as a free agent?
We got Marcus Mariota.
Right. So Marcus Mariota. That the thought is that the Commanders are going to take Jaden Daniels.
Yes.
Because
right now.
That smart teams select backup quarterbacks who play the way the other quarterback plays. And Jaden Daniels is similar in the way he plays. He's better, but they have similar styles than Marcus Mariota. I think that's why the Jets made a smart decision with Tyrod Taylor. He gets the ball out quickly, just like Aaron Rodgers. So, the Jets didn't have that last year, and they had to try to change the whole thing on the run because the whole thing was like built for Aaron Rodgers. And all of a sudden, Zach Wilson playing. It's not built for Zach Wilson. And maybe they looked at it and said, what we're going to be doing, it's not going to be built for Sam Howell. So they just got rid of him. But I think it's a smart play by the Seahawks because Geno Smith's getting old. Yeah. And maybe they look at this guy as a quarterback for the future that they could build up.
No, listen, I'm telling you right now, things fell off the rails for the Commanders last year. But as you can see, they didn't keep the offensive coordinator. He's gone. So obviously things did not work out the way they expected. I saw a lot of talent in Howell. He has a big arm. He's incredibly tough. He's one of those sort of Eli-like, doesn't get up, doesn't get down. There's something there. They just decided he's not it in Washington, and they're going to take a big swing at the quarterback, which I hope it is Jaden Daniels. He's my favorite one in terms of, my top-level research, and by that I mean looking at YouTube highlights. But I will tell you, man, Michael, in this version of the NFL, the coolest thing is you can turn around a team quickly. And obviously the quarterback's going to be a huge if, but the other pieces that they're putting in place, they'll have a chance to compete if they could get it right with the quarterback. But, I mean, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the show, right?
Now, to just piggyback on what we were talking about with Marcus Stroman, Brian Hoke of MLB said that Stroman says he will not be the Yankees opening day starter. He spoke with Cashman and Boone about it. They agreed it would be too difficult to shift his schedule at this point of the spring. So maybe it's the Yankees that were being really careful about it.
Okay. Well, that is important to know.
A little bit of a hornet's nest today. ESPN, the mothership, had their press conference about baseball moving forward, and they talked about, the Carl Ravitch and David and Eduardo and Buster, the main thing, the main group. And then it was also revealed that yours truly, once again this year, will be doing the London game. But the thing that stirred up the hornet's nest, Peter, especially on social media, the London game involves the Mets. How dare ESPN put the Yankee announcer on a Met game? As if I'm not professional enough to do it. I've done a Blue Jay game. I've done the Minnesota Twins.
I'm not seeing that. Hold on, that's not.
I saw. This is an insult. How could they have the Yankee announcer do the Met game? Watch me.
Yeah,
watch me.
You'll do it unlike any other.
Unlike any other, and I'll also be doing a wild card series again. So. I'm sorry if people are upset, but I am a professional. I'm not going to sit there. I might wear a pinstripe suit, but the Mets have pinstripes too.
That is a good
point.
So
I'm going to London again.
Foggy London town.
But this time, like last time I went for about a week. You know what I'm doing this time? Yankees-Dodgers on Friday. Then the Dodgers-Yankees is on Fox on Saturday. Dodgers-Yankees on ESPN on Sunday. So this is Sunday morning baseball. I'm flying out after the Yankee game on Friday, and I'm going to fly back after the game on Sunday. So I'm going to be in good shape that Monday.
You get there what day? Friday?
Well, let's see. Is it 6 hours ahead of it here?
Yep.
So if I can get a late flight out, I'll get there very early Saturday.
Got it.
And if I fly Saturday, then I'll get there sometime in the afternoon on Saturday.
You want to, should we go out there Friday and do the show from foggy London town? I'll do it.
No, I'm doing the Yankees-Dodgers on Friday. So I'm doing the show before the Yankee-Dodger game at the stadium.
Look at you. Are you chartering out with the Yanks?
They're not going to London.
Oh, that's right. I forgot the Mets. You chartering out with the Mets?
This is not good.
The Mets are playing a game on Saturday and Sunday.
Got it. Okay,
so they're leaving before. You know what? I think Carlos Mendoza and Steve Cohen will hold up the plane for the Yankee announcer to finish doing the Yankee-Dodger game.
It would be nice. It's the least they could do.
It is it's the most they could do. I don't think it's going to happen. I'll get some tips from Gary. You know,
give Gah a call.
Yeah.
By the way, that doesn't work as a nickname. People have to stop.
It is a nickname.
You can't.
Garon Keith.
It can't be Gah. Gah is not a thing. Sorry. It is
to them.
If you're out there and your name is Gary, I want to know if you reasonably walk around these streets with the nickname Gah. It's not. It's like Susie Essman calls Larry La on Curb, but that can't be a real thing, is it? La and Gah?
I believe that Larrys are called La. Come on, of course.
Ask LD right now. Say true. I want to know, does anyone call you La in real life?
Yeah, I'm not going to bother him with that. Tim Kirchin just tweeted out, it's nearly certain that Garrett Cole and Blake Snell will not start on opening day. The last time the reigning Cy Young winners did not start opening day was back in 2005. It was Clemens and Santana. Before that was 1982, Valenzuela and Fingers. And obviously Raleigh was a reliever, so he wasn't going to start. So this doesn't happen too often. One's because of injury, and one's because he doesn't have a team to play for. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Ira in Staten Island. I'm really intrigued, Ira's thoughts on what we've heard the last couple of days. Ira, talk to us.
Hey, what's happening, Peter and Michael? You know, I left work early. I turned on the radio. I hear the tail end of your Rodgers conversation. And the other day when I spoke to you, I thought you were kind of kidding around until you mentioned the times. Mm-hmm. And then I see how the whole thing played out. And, you know, this was my biggest issue, and I hope I turned out to be wrong, but I didn't want all this baggage and drama because I knew it was coming when they were going to get him. And I didn't know if it was worth it because, to be very honest with you, he's probably got a better odd to get to the White House than he has to get to a Super Bowl with the Jets. Ooh. And the whole thing is crazy. The Sandy Hook thing, I don't know what the outcome was that is. But did I hear you guys say that he didn't deny something about the vice presidency today?
No, he issued a statement, Ira. We talked about this at the beginning of the show, and I know you were working at that point. He issued a statement saying that he believes that Sandy Hook happened. It was a tragedy. Doesn't deny that he said that to Pamela Brown. Never said that. But in that statement, he didn't even refer to the vice president.
Well, that's not a good sign. Then you know what? If Woody Johnson doesn't know already, and Joe Douglas, if this guy thinks he's going to play both ends of the cards and he's going to mess around in politics and still play football, goodbye. I can't deal with it. I'm sorry. Move on. Pay the man his money and let him go and just do what you have to do. Go get Justin Fields. Let what's his name, Tyrod Taylor be the backup. I can't. This organization, I just don't. Nothing they seem to do, it never turns out right. I mean, listen, I'm happy for Corey Davis where he found himself. He's coming back. I got no problem as a depth player. But the whole Rodgers drama, I'd say at the end of the day, once again, I want to be wrong. It wasn't worth the gamble. It's just too much uproar and too much bad publicity this organization doesn't need.
Well, Ira, you know, you said a mouthful, and it's hard to argue with anything that you said, but here's what it comes down to. The Jets sold their soul to Aaron Rodgers. They cannot discipline him. They cannot tell him no. They can't tell him we don't want you on Pat McAfee. Peter, when you sell your soul full. You can't back off all of a sudden and they go, well, I don't want to do that. Well, now he owns the team. I mean, we say that in a joking way, but he essentially owns the team. There's nobody above him that will tell him no. He's undisciplinable because he has so much power in that organization. They sold everything. They sold their ethics, their morals. They sold everything, and they can't tell him no about anything.
Well, so far, we have never heard anyone come out and say anything. Anything that disparages, goes against him, we've heard nothing in any way.
And you won't.
So I guess that means, again, we have to just believe the information that we're given. And the information that we're given says he does not, no one has the authority to call him out.
Well, they have the authority. Nobody has the onions to call him out. They're afraid of him. The whole organization is afraid of him, including Saleh, including Douglas, and including Woody Johnson. I'm sorry, they don't have the guts.
Well, Saleh, it's not onions then, it's authority, right? Because he can't do it.
No. With it's job security. Well, but he can get him fired in a second.
That's what I'm
saying.
saying.
So he probably doesn't have the authority.
That's what I'm saying. So in the case, so the not having the cojones, if you will, goes above Saleh. That would be ownership.
But also, Peter, a coach should be able to discipline a player.
Yep. On a good team.
The fact that he doesn't. But Robert has said to us, he's a perfect citizen within those walls. But you can't. It's not. The walls are not lead. The things do permeate the walls. I'm sorry, they do. You can't say that it's not a distraction.
No, they don't even know about this.
You can say it, but I don't believe it.
They don't even know about this, Michael. It doesn't get through to them. They're only talking football in there. They're running plays right now.
Yeah, the funny part is every single player is constantly in their free time on their phone, checking out social media. You can't tell me they're not seeing this stuff. And maybe Rodgers has told the Jets, I'm not running for vice president. But why would you make the organization look like stooges by not in the statement going, by the way, I have no interest in being the vice president of the United States, or I support Robert Kennedy Jr., which he said, but I'm not going to be his running mate. He wants to just string this out. It's either he's a legitimate candidate or he wants to string it out. Neither one is a good look. I'm sorry, neither one's a good look. Go to Joey in Montclair. Joey.
In the statement going, by the way, I have no interest in being
Joey, turn the phone down.
Turn
the radio down.
There you go.
What's up, man?
All right.
Okay,
good stuff,
nice talking with you. Good stuff. Let's go to Nick in East Meadow. Nick.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey,
first
Nick.
time, long time.
Welcome
Peter,
aboard.
Welcome to the Yankee fan base. I just need to find out if, the Yankees are going to make any moves at all. I'm hearing stuff about a potential Michael Lorenzen deal with the Phillies. I'm hearing
he's a free agent.
He is a free agent?
I believe he's a free agent, yeah.
Well, I have been hearing stuff from John Heyman about a potential signing of Michael Lorenzen, but if the Yankees don't do anything, is there a chance that, Luis Heel starts the game? Because my gut is that Nestor and Clark Schmidt are not going to be starting because of their past injuries and stuff. You must have joined us a little late, Nick. They're both starting tomorrow. That does not put them in line to start opening day. So whoever is going to be the pitcher that takes over the spot vacated by Cole might be the opening day starter. So it's not going to be Rodon. Obviously not going to be Cole. Stroman is on a program that doesn't take him to opening day, so he's going to start game 3. He's out. As I said, Nestor and Clark don't line up. So whoever is going to slide into that role, whether it's Luis Heel or Will Warren or Clayton Beater, they're going to be the opening day starter, or they will go with a bullpen, which is really, really hard to reconcile. Think about that. A team with a $300 million payroll, you don't even know who their opening day starter is yet. We know who the Met opening day starter is, not the Yankees. And the Mets, number one starter, Cody Senga, they're pushing him back a week before he can start to throw again. And they say out of an abundance of caution. There's been no setback, but out of an abundance of caution. Okay, I'll play along. Let's give him another week for no reason. Time for Inside the Numbers, brought to you by Eisner Amper.
Let's get in there.
OG Anunoby has a plus 280. That's a plus-minus in the first 15 games with the Knicks, Peter. The second best plus-minus over a 15-game span by any player in the last 25 seasons, and that trails only Steph Curry in 2015, who was plus 281, just one skinny point. That's Inside the Numbers, brought to you by Eisner Amper, a leading business advisory firm helping clients transform their companies, build capital, innovate processes, and mitigate risk. Make Eisner Amper part of your solution. Learn more at eisneramper.com/solution. Hey, when I'm getting ready for a game, I have to be prepared. Possible opening day starter that
Cortez and Schmidt don't line up. It's just the way the schedule works. Aaron Boone said they are going to have to move pitchers' schedules around to get someone to start on opening day. So he says he knows who is pitching, but he doesn't want to disclose at this time. So then it was pressed to him. It was at Nestor Cortez or Clark Schmidt, and he said it could be. So it could be those two. We know it's not Stroman. We know it's not Rodon. We know it's not Cole, and it could be the guy who takes over for Cole in the rotation. Peter, you haven't even said anything, and I'm a little hurt by it, but I've whittled down the beard into a goatee, and the next step is tomorrow to make it into a Pusick.
Well, how do I say this? I had come to like the beard situation. I did. I thought the beard, much as I hated to admit it, like so many things that we try to do on the show to punish Michael, the beard started to work for you. And then when we had our pre-show meeting today and I saw you, I immediately said, no, I don't like this. You, for some reason, the beard worked for you. It made you look younger. It worked for the shape of your face. I believe this goatee hurts the shape of your face and makes you look older. I'm just being honest. And
that's fair. You know what? It's supposed to be a painful loss for me, and so far it has been.
You liked it better as a beard, I'm guessing, as well, right?
I actually could have seen myself keeping a beard for a while. And I would have tried to do it and even fly in the face of the Yankees' no facial hair policy, because Carlos Beltran had a beard the year he worked with us. Todd Frazier has a beard, so I'm sure I could have gotten away with it. And my boss actually said, the big boss actually said, it looks good. It's well trimmed. So it wasn't like they hated it. But the bet is to have a Pusick, and I will unveil that tomorrow at the big event at the Rutherford across the street from the Garden.
I have to admit, I'm looking forward to seeing our listeners tomorrow. I'm looking forward to hanging out at the Big East tournament. Not looking forward to seeing the Pusick. It's going to be upsetting for everyone.
Now I'm going to make a statement here that you'll push back on, and when Don hears about it, he's going to push back on it as well. I'm giving you the Pusick for a full week on the air. It had never been previously stated how long I had to have it. It's going to go Thursday. It's going to go Friday through next Thursday, and that's it. I'm not keeping it any longer.
I'm fine with that. You know, Don may have something to say.
Oh, sorry.
Did we even mention on the air yesterday the thing that happened with Don?
No.
Was that intentional?
No, he said he was willing to talk about it, but I was so distraught by it, I didn't even want to bring it up.
If you've listened to this show, you know the long history that exists of Don having a really bad moment back in the day with the Yankee PA announcer Paul Olden. I'm sure you've heard the story. If you're a listener of the show, if you've been listening since 1947, you know. Don was doing a show. Paul Olden was there, and Don mentioned his name. And when he said Paul Olden went, "It's not Olden, it's Olden." It's not, and they had a back and forth where, according to Don, Mr. Olden really yelled at him and kind of scolded him and embarrassed him.
Yeah, and he was never going to forget it.
It hurt him to his core, and I believe he said if he ever saw him again, he was going to punch him square in the forehead.
Right.
And then we get a picture yesterday, because as you know, Don did the show yesterday from George Steinbrenner Field down in Tampa. And he sent a picture of him arm in arm, smiling with Paul Olden. And Michael was sick to his stomach to see it.
And then we said, I called him the height of being a phony. And he said that Olden had said that fans had told him about the stuff that Don had said, and Paul was a very nice man. That's why I never understood the hatred that Don had toward him. Paul said he does not remember the incident, but if it bothered Don, he apologized.
And what do you say to this?
Sorry doesn't fix the lamp. Also, it's one of those classic apologies. If I offended you, you either apologize or you don't.
Well, that's not exactly what he said, though. I have to defend Mr. Olden.
Okay.
He said, I don't have a recollection of that. But if that's what happened, I am sorry. He didn't say if I offended you.
Well,
he
then
said,
that's better.
And there's the photo. I mean, look at Mr. Olden and Don, who now have matching gray beards, just smiling away. I mean,
I'll tell you what, I think Don had just a glorious time yesterday.
Are you sensing he may be leaning Yanks when he gets back here?
Well, no, I'm not saying he's leaning Yanks, but he did make a comment, a very quick offhanded comment yesterday on the show. If you ever want to cut back, I'd be interested in doing game. I mean, I think he loved walking around the ballpark. There were a lot of fans of the show there. They stopped him. He talked. He took pictures. He loved the adulation. He's not going to get that at Citi Field.
No.
He didn't get that at the Rangers. The Yankee fans are a different breed, man.
Well, I'm sure he gets a lot of love at Ranger games. I'll say this. I think that doing this show on Yes for all these years and doing the show with you, the Yankee announcer, with such a rabid, passionate fan base, and us being so close to the Yankees, even though I grew up just like any other AL East fan, just supposed to despise the Yankees, in the years that have gone on that I've been here,
you love them.
I'm not going to go that far.
You said you're a Yankee fan this year.
This year, I've pledged my New York allegiance to the Yankees. But even beyond that, I'd be lying to say I don't feel some sort of connection because, we're sitting here on the Yankees Entertainment. What's the S for again?
Yankee Entertainment and Sports Network.
And sports, right, exactly. So, I mean, the Y is for Yankee, and it's a big part of our lives. So I think Don being there, I'm sure, felt it. I'm sure I'd feel the same thing. I've never done spring training in any way.
What do you mean, done it?
I've never been to any spring training in any capacity. I would like to do that one. I would like to do it one day. It seems like You know why I like it?
Tell me.
Because it owns what a baseball game really is. Because, a regular season baseball game, basically April through July, certainly, at least, is a very casual event. But spring training owns it even more. I mean, nothing even matters. You're just there to have a good time and eat and drink and hang out. So I enjoy that it's true to the nature of what a baseball game is, which is essentially sitting around and talking.
You're crazy.
I mean, not everybody pulls out their scorecard at games when they're nearly 70 years old.
Anthony, can you give me a final St. John score?
Oh, here we go.
It is 85-72 St. John's with 1:10 to go.
How about that?
That looks like it's over.
Good for Rick. I'll tell you what, since he had that verbal diarrhea about his team, they've been great.
That was really planned. Well done.
If that was a motivational ploy, you can see why this guy's one of the greatest coaches of all time. I think it's a happy happenstance. I don't believe that was the intent. I think he was throwing up his hands on the season, and that was it. He said, hey, they just can't do it, and they decided to be able to do it. I give them credit. They've had they're going to the NCAA for the first time in a while. Good for them. Good for them. Bad for Don with Paul. I'm glad that for Paul's sake he didn't get punched in the forehead, but Don didn't follow through.
You're saying it wrong. It's Paul Olden.
And you have to know something about Don. This is an important piece of information.
What is it?
For as emotional as Don is and passionate as he can be on a story, Don, how do I say this?
Just say it.
Phony? Phony's the wrong word. But he's got a little gutless in him.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm going to go. Yeah, that's Michael really saying that. I think the better term would be non-confrontational.
Well, and you know what? A good synonym would be gutless.
But how many times have there been a situation just at the radio station where we believe, there's something that needs to be said between Don and someone else at the station.
Right.
And he will tell us that he then saw the person, and we're like, what happened? Nothing. Oh, it was great. They said they love me and everything's fine. He is definitively non-confrontational. He does it with you too.
Oh, he has things to say that, and he doesn't say it when he sees me?
Well, I think it's stuff that you know, but he still doesn't bring it up when push comes to shove. He just doesn't like it.
Well, we can confront him tomorrow because you could join the Michael K. Show for a live Big East broadcast tomorrow, starting at 3 p.m. at the Rutherford, a rooftop restaurant on 33rd Street across from Madison Square Garden. I'm being told, Peter, we will be doing the show outside.
on the
that
rooftop.
That is confirmed?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
What's give me I'd like a temp for tomorrow before I agree to this.
I think it's in the 60s, and Yes has looked at the shot. They say the shot is phenomenal.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting drunk during the show tomorrow. I'm going to be honest with everyone. Just be prepared. I will be, by ENN, I will be blitzed. I just want everyone to know it.
We've got glorious guests to come by, too. You got to tune in and find out. There'll be plenty of ESPN swag given away and a chance to score Big East tournament tickets. So see the K-Show live with special Big East guests at the Rutherford on 33rd Street tomorrow starting at 3 p.m. Brought to you by Sam Adams, Truly Hard Seltzer, Schweppes, and Nissan. Now let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Matt in Long Island City. Matty.
Speaking of gutless, I'm going to sound like an old man for the next minute or so, but I promise I'm only 27. What you were saying about Marcus Stroman and Carlos Rodon not taking up the opening day start, I don't care if it's from the Yankees or the players. It's just modern baseball feels so lame sometimes. I mean, we killed Zach Wilson for a report that he hesitated to step up because 300-pound men might rip off his head. But, the pitchers are like, it might throw off my program. By the way, the program, I guarantee you one of them will be injured before the All-Star break. So the programs don't work that good anyway. So I don't know. I know I sound like an old man, but it actually made me a little like the angry Yankee fan that I hate.
Well, I mean, I can't sit and say you're wrong. Unless we were in on those discussions, though, Matt, we can't really come down with a hammer on anybody. The way it was being reported is that Stroman said he wants to stay on his program. That's not a great look. It shouldn't have come out that way. The other two guys are starting tomorrow, so that they don't project to be able to be ready on the 5 days rest to start the opener, but they can move things around. And the Yankees obviously have been planning since the end of last year that Garrett Cole was starting opening day. And you know what? The baseball gods got in the way. It's just a different world, everybody. It's not, that picture of Y.A. Tittle with blood coming down the side of his head. It's just not that sport. Sports is not that anymore. These are specialized athletes. They're finely tuned. They do not throw crap into their body. They eat the best stuff. They train constantly. And they look at it like scientists. So they're not going to push themselves. They think if they push themselves. But what Matt said is also true, Peter. They're on these great programs. They follow everything to the letter. And then they all seem to get hurt. So how are we different than we were when we used to do, when we used to be rub dirt on it?
Rub dirt.
Griffin in Connecticut has a would you for Peter. What's up, Griffin?
Would you Thursday? Hey, Griff.
Yeah, I do. I have a would you for you, Peter. We're really going to find out what comes first, your friendship or you hate Duke a lot more.
Ooh.
Okay.
So you become the Duke announcer on the radio. They give you the voice for the Duke on the radio.
What a turn this would be, yeah.
You do all the basketball games, and you have to wear the Duke sweatshirt, a Duke hoodie. You have to wear every Duke thing. And Michael and Don get to live a magical rest of their life. They get to see their kids get married. They get to walk their kids down the aisle. They get to see their kids' graduation. Or you don't take the job, and Michael and Don do not get to see their kids walk down the aisle. They do not get to see their kids graduate. They die early.
Ooh.
Oh, my God. Wait, I'm so confused now.
Well, let me Griffin certainly took a circuitous route. You take the Duke job. Don and I have a great ending. We see everything with our kids. We walk them down the aisle.
Yeah.
You don't, and we die early. We don't see any of that.
I would obviously take the Duke job rather than my friends die. I mean, come on. Griffin, you're better than that. At least I'd like to think you are. I mean, can you make it a little bit more tempting for me?
Yeah, I mean, to really make it a tough call, you have to take the Duke job, your marriage ends, but Don and Michael have this great ending of life. Then that's a tough decision.
Right. But no, I mean, this is easy. Yeah, I'd take the Duke job. It'd be fine.
It's over, Peter. I know you want to hear about this, so I'm going to tell you. St. John's beat Seton Hall 91-72. 91-72. Well, break it down tomorrow. A Big East show.
Hey, Mercedes-Benz of White Plains has done it again. So far, it's just me and Peter doing the action. Don is off today. Back again tomorrow with us at the Big East Show at the Rutherford, right across the street from the Garden on 33rd Street. Drop by, say hello. We're taking some phone calls, a lot of stuff happening. Let's go to Joe in Greenwich. Joe?
Yes, nice to talk to you guys again. I've talked to you before. I'm a little older, backwards on baseball. What I don't understand is how can you not have a starting pitcher? I know you just talked to someone about that. How could you not have a starting pitcher when you have a week to 10 days to go?
Well, they do have a starting pitcher. I mean, it's not going to be a big name.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. Well, then who's going to be the starting pitcher?
I think it's going to be Nestor Cortez. I mean, they have to replace Garrett Cole, and they're going to probably replace him with one of their pitchers that are their added guys, the 6, 7, 8, 9 starters. Louis Heel, Clayton Beater, Will Warren, Chase Hampton, Cody Petit. That's going to be the guy one of those guys is going to replace Garrett Cole for however long Garrett Cole's out, whether it's 2 months to the year. And I think if it's a year, then they would get somebody bigger and more accomplished to move into that role, unless the guy that does step in actually dominates. But to say they don't have a pitcher, of course they have a pitcher. It's not the pitcher that you thought when this team was put together and the payroll is $300 million, but there's a pitcher that's going to pitch. It's not like they're going to take the field without a pitcher. That's not happening. Let's go to Isaac in Westchester. Isaac.
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So we said this before. The Yankees are one of the organizations who have players in their too valuable to trade, but impossible to ever make their way up. It's always like they're not good enough to start on the league level, but...
Well, you're cutting in and out. I mean, if I can understand what you were saying, their prospects never had... Well, their prospects won a Gold Glove at shortstop last year. Their prospect hit a home run in the first at bat last year in Jason Dominguez. The only reason he's not the starting center fielder this year is because he had Tommy John surgery, so he'll be back by the middle of the season. Their prospect is Austin Wells. He's going to be half of the catching position for the Yankees. So, again, that's just a narrative that doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. So you want to trade Spencer Jones. That's what you want. When you tell me that none of their prospects make it. And I'm telling you, they do. Clark Schmidt made it. He started 30 games last year. That's a prospect out of the Yankee system. Nestor Cortez is a prospect out of the Yankee system. I could go on and on. Gleyber Torres, although he was acquired from the Cubs, came out of the Yankee system. He didn't go straight to the big leagues. Aaron Judge came out of the Yankee system. Your theory, your narrative is flawed. It's just not accurate. It's not accurate. It's silly talk is what it is. Go to Gene in Connecticut.
Michael, Peter, how are you today?
Good. How are you, Gene?
Good, thanks. Just wanted to bring up a point on the Don and Paul Olden picture.
Okay.
Paul has a fist right below Don's chin if you look at the photo. So they're kind of spoofing Don, punching him right in the forehead.
They clearly are. Yes. And that's what makes us sick, Gene, because Don, talking tough, he actually posed for a picture where Olden was Rocky and he was Creed. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Well, you are too. I know you don't rip your boy, but you're disappointed too. You're not mad enough to say why. This portion, by the way, of the Michael K. Show on 98.7 ESPN is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of White Plains. Visit Mercedes-Benz of White Plains, proud member of the Pepe Auto Group, the name you've trusted since 1968. Peter, do you feel freer without Don that you can
70%?
talk and you're not getting constantly interrupted and stuff like that? It's a different vibe for you, right? Come on, let's lift the curtain.
No, it's definitely a different vibe. I don't like. I don't like prefer it. That's not how I feel. I mean,
Really?
It depends on the day. It depends on the day. I mean, most days I really enjoy, the dynamic the way it is. Every blue moon, there might be a day when I'm thinking, there's more. I have a little bit more to say, but I think that pales compared to the days that it's just right. So I miss Don. Miss him terribly.
Have you sent out birthday wishes yet?
Birthday wishes.
Very important person.
Important to who?
Well, you like him. You went to a Knick game with him.
Billy Crystal?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I did not know.
Yeah, some friend you are.
I did not know this.
Well, you get yourself ready. Send out a birthday wish. We'll come back. We'll reset. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. Big 5 o'clock hour coming up right here on Yes and 98.7 ESPN. Peter's been around a long time with us. That was his worst moment. I mean, the level of stupidity is beyond anything that I can even imagine for a guy who's very bright.
I don't think you had to frame it with the S word.
How would you have framed it?
Confusion. I don't know. I don't feel great about it, but I also, I don't need to be insulted. It's not right. Especially, I'm a man with glasses. You shouldn't treat a man with glasses this way.
I'm a man with glasses. I understood the Yankee game's a Friday night. Yankees Dodgers. Looking forward to that.
You're not a real man with glasses.
Well, what does that mean?
You're a guy who wears readers. We in the glasses community, we don't really accept you.
All right, so now you'll accept me. I'm going to put on my progressives, you clown.
You don't really wear them very often.
I wore them all day yesterday.
You did?
Yeah. Pay attention. You going to fly with the Mets? Maybe we'll go to foggy London Town, do the show on Friday.
You wore them to our event?
No, I had them on the floor.
You had them on the floor? What does that mean?
I had them in the case on the floor.
Oh. So you didn't want them?
I didn't want to be photographed with glasses on.
Why?
Because I don't really need them, particularly for distance. When I'm driving at night, I use them.
Again, this is why we don't accept you.
No, I don't care if you don't accept me. Couple of the big stories. Yankees looking for an opening day starter. The way it has been reported, Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone met with Marcus Stroman. And I don't know if it was Stroman. I don't know if it was all three of them. All three of them agreed he's going to stay on his program, which would lead him to start the third game of the season. That would be the Saturday at Minute Maid Park against the Astros, which would then lead him to start opening day Yankee Stadium the next Friday. So he's out. Garrett Cole is out. They have already eliminated, for some reason, Carlos Rodon as possibly starting that game. So Rodon is out. I don't know if Rodon said he wanted to stay on his program or the Yankees don't want to put too much pressure on him. So it comes down to a possible three. Aaron Boone says he knows who it's going to be. He's going to hold it close to his vest because anything could happen, which is smart. I mean, they could make a trade for somebody that would be lined up to start opening day. So why announce it now and then change? There's no need to announce it just yet. Starting tomorrow in separate games will be Clark Schmidt and Nestor Cortez. So if they start tomorrow, which is Friday, and if they get the 5 days rest, well, they wouldn't exactly line up to start the opener. But he also said that he could rejigger the schedule and one of them could start. Then you have the possibility of any of the other guys, that would be the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th starters for the Yankees, they can go. Could be Luis Heel. It could be Clayton Beater. Could be Cody Poteet. They have options. Could be Will Warren. Could be Chase Hampton. We'll see. Who I think it's going to be, if I had to guess, the guy who is best suited to do it, I think that's Nestor Cortez. He loves the spotlight. He will not wilt in front of a sellout crowd at Minute Maid Park. I think he wants the challenge after last year's tough season with the shoulder problems. I think that's the way they go. I don't think they go with the young man, Clark Schmidt, who also is ultra confident and will not wilt. But if you're going to look at who's the better pitcher when healthy, the better pitcher is Nestor Cortez. So the starter on opening day probably only has to go 5 innings anyway, and then you turn it over to the bullpen. But that's a 4-game set, no days off. And then it's a 3-game set in Phoenix against the Diamondbacks, no days off. So it's not like you could continue to use your bullpen to get 12 outs. There's 7 straight games out of the gate. 7 straight out of the gate. Usually there's off days for opening day, but both of those ballparks have retractable roofs, so you don't have to worry about rainouts. So there you have it. Peter, if I had to guess who it's going to be, when they do announce it, unless they make a deal, I think it's going to be Nestor Cortez. That would be the way to go.
And how would you feel about that?
I'd be fine. I mean, anybody is not Garrett Cole. So, I mean, you've got to rejigger your thought process on the season moving forward. If Garrett Cole is out just 2 months, I don't think it affects them whatsoever in their quest to win a championship. If Garrett Cole is out for the whole season, then I do believe that impacts whether or not they can win a championship, depending on if they go out and get somebody and who that somebody is. Now, you can make the point that, teams have lost great pitchers and gone on to win championships. I think in 2011, Dan Grosso brought this up during his show yesterday. Adam Wainwright, who finished second in the Cy Young the previous year, had to have Tommy John surgery. Cardinals went and won a World Series. Last year, Jacob deGrom was hurt. After, I think, 6 starts for the Rangers, they went on and won a World Series. So it can be done. I think it becomes much, much more difficult without Garrett Cole. I can't sit here and lie to you. I'm sure the Yankees feel that way, too. The whole pitching staff is built around the rock of Garrett Cole. So if you take Garrett Cole out of the equation, things become more complicated and much more difficult. And I also love, Yankee fans saying, well, why don't they go out and get Snell? They made an offer for Snell. 6 years, $150. It was turned down. So what does he want now? And anything that you pay, and then they went out and pivoted and got Marcus Stroman. If they went out and got him now at $30 million a year, that's $63 million. I'm sorry, you make do with what you have. I don't think he makes that much. He's not going to match what Garrett Cole can do. He's a 5 1/3 inning pitcher. Garrett Cole's a 7 inning pitcher. Those extra 5-6 outs are really important. So I'm not sure, even if it wasn't my money, and it's not Brian's money, it's Hal's money. I don't think I'd spend $63 million to bring in Blake Snell. I don't think it changes the equation that much. Now, if you could get him on a really cheap deal, and he wants to have $20 million, okay, I take the chance.
I think it changes the equation quite a bit. It's just about, is it worth it to spend that money to change the equation?
I don't think it changes it quite. It changes it.
I mean, come on. If Blake Snell,
but does it take you back to Garrett Cole?
No, but how about this? You now have a legitimate number 1 in Blake Snell, which, let's be honest, we don't know. Depending on what you get from Cortez, you don't know if you have a legitimate number 1 at all now, period. With all due respect to Marcus Stroman, he didn't get paid like a legitimate number 1.
Well, you got to hope that it's Rodon that's the number 1.
And that is, at best, a wild card. So I will say, while you may not think it's the move, Snell would give you an actual proven, legitimate Cy Young number 1 starting pitcher, and then suppose you run into a miracle and it turns out not to be the whole season for Cole. You get him back after the All-Star break. He becomes your number 1 and Snell's your number 2. And now you're talking about a ridiculous playoff rotation.
Well, I will tell you this. If they think they're going to get Cole back, I don't think there's any way they would entertain Snell. If they get Cole back at the All-Star break, they think they could cover those starts. Now, if they find out in the next week or so that Garrett Cole's out for the season, then I think they might have to reconsider. I still think they would probably shy away from that. Buster only had a story today on ESPN Plus saying that, from what he's ascertained, he doesn't think the Yankees are going to go for either Snell or Montgomery. They made a spirited try at Dylan Cease. Maybe there are other pitchers out there. Maybe they just make do until, the trade deadline, and if they're really close, they make a trade for somebody that could be that guy. I don't know. But a lot of this depends on what the news they get on Cole. And I don't think they truly know if Cole is out for the year yet.
No, they don't.
I really don't think they know that. I don't even think Cole knows that. I just think they know that they've lost him for a bit. They're hoping for the best. There's a chance he's out for the year, but it's not like they're sitting on the fact that they know that he's out for the year and not telling people. I don't think they know. I mean, he wouldn't make a trip to see Neil Elitrosh if it's already been established that he's definitely going to be out for the year. I mean, why do it? Why rush out there yesterday? They're trying to expedite this. Now, the other story is the Aaron Rodgers situation. CNN reporting yesterday that Aaron Rodgers told Pamela Brown at the Kentucky Derby many years ago that he thought the Sandy Hook tragedy was, in fact, not what it was purported to be. What it was reported to be. Mentioned crisis actors and stuff like reprehensible stuff. He released a statement earlier, which to me is a non-denial denial. He says, as I'm on the record saying in the past, what happened in Sandy Hook was an absolute tragedy. I am not and have never been of the opinion that the events did not take place. Again, word salad. Even if he thought it was staged, the events took place in his mind. Right? Then he goes on to say, again, I hope that we learn from this and other tragedies to identify the signs that will allow us to prevent unnecessary loss of life. My thoughts and prayers continue to remain with the families affected along with the entire Sandy Hook community, and he puts a heart emoji. Again, a very oddly worded, or maybe not oddly, maybe strategically worded denial. Didn't say that he never said that to Pamela Brown. Did not say that. Never. Could have easily said, what's being reported is untrue. I never said that to Pamela Brown. Didn't even address it. Came out and said, I believe the events took place, which doesn't at all wipe out what she said, because the events obviously took place. He's just doubting what was being reported was what happened. Reprehensible for anybody to think that. And haven't heard a word from the Jets. And in that, conspicuous in the absence in that statement, Peter, nowhere in those lines. Let me count how many lines that was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 10-line tweet. Didn't mention the vice presidential nonsense.
No, he did not.
So either he loves the joyride, or he is legitimately considering, and RFK legitimately considering, making him his vice presidential running mate. And I said this earlier. I truly believe it, because he is a master of chaos. That even if he is named the running mate of RFK Jr., he intends to play football, because that's how his mind works. I mean, how much campaigning does the vice president do? How much pressing of the flesh does he do?
And by the way, here's what you have to think about if you're RFK. His RFK's goal is not to win the election. I mean, it is no more his goal to win the election than it was the realistic goal of Conor Roy on Succession to win the election. Okay? That's just not a real thing that's going to happen. So isn't it really worthwhile to have Aaron Rodgers as your running mate because of how much noise it makes? It's not like you're going to win.
I guess so. Again, I think the whole run falls under the heading of agent of chaos. They've done the homework, who it swings the election to. And Peter and I talked about this earlier. We don't know who it swings the election to. We're not quite sure. You could debate it either way. It helps Trump. It helps Biden. I'm not sure. He's doing it for a reason. He's not going to win.
So I kind of feel like, since you aren't going to win anyway, kind of a smart move to bring in the guy who is the most vocal, famous possibility. All it does is help build whatever brand building you're attempting to do with this whole thing, no?
And for Rodgers and his massive ego and the craving of every bit of a spotlight to suck the air out of every room, it fits his narrative.
Why would he not do it?
Why not? And again, if he's going to play football, I mean, shame on the Jets if they allow this nonsense to go on. Shame on them. Shame on them for everything that's gone on. And not to rein this guy in. Shame on them for allowing him to spout his nonsense on Pat McAfee every week while he wasn't playing. Shame on them for allowing it to happen this year, too. And if this guy's going to run for vice president, to allow him to do that and still be the quarterback of the Jets, shame on them. But they have painted themselves in the corner. They can't do anything with this guy. They're afraid of him. They have handed him all the power. He has as much power as Woody Johnson. Because without him, the Jets are nothing. Because neither one of us, and Don the same way, we ever take away the greatness of Aaron Rodgers on the field. But there's so much noxious nonsense that comes along with him
That really, did you have to get in bed with this guy? There was no other choice. There was no other way to get a quarterback.
Well, and not only that, Michael, because I will say this. There was certainly nobody with the talent of him available, because guess what? There may be nobody with his talent in the history of the game.
Right.
But I will say this. You could have at least not been such little you-know-whats in the way you decided to handle it. Because, Michael, at this point, tell me what options he has. How many teams are banging down the door of Aaron Rodgers at this point? Why can you not put your foot down a little bit at this point in time if you're Woody Johnson, Robert Saleh, and the Jets? Tell me why. Where is he going?
I'll tell you why. He'll leave.
Okay.
He'll just retire, and then you're nothing. You're what you were last year.
So real quick, because he would have to deal with the optic that because they gave a little bit of pushback, the story would get out. The story would then get out that they gave the tiniest bit of pushback, and he immediately, this guy who's so driven to win another championship, one of the greats of all time, and we all know he wants to be considered that, he would then have to deal with the fallout of everyone knowing that the second someone attempted to coach him, he ran scared. I don't think he'd do it. I think they could choose if they wanted in this moment. Michael, I'm not saying be heavy-handed. I'm not saying rip the guy in public. But they could rein him in. We could hear a story at some point. Rich Cimini could report that a phone call was had between Woody Johnson and Aaron Rodgers, and it was decided based on everything that happened last year. We really want to focus on this year being nothing but football from here on out. Michael, if that were to send him running, it would be a real black mark on his resume.
I'm not sure he would look at it that way. And I think that when they traveled out to California to seduce him, to make him a Jet, they promised him all this stuff, and they're not going to go. You listen. You have carte blanche. You do what you want.
You really think they did that?
I do. I think they handed him the keys to the castle.
Whatever you want. You say what you
whatever
do.
You want. Whatever players. Didn't they go out and get whatever player he wanted? They didn't get Odell. That was it. And every player that he wanted did not play the way you thought he was going to play. Alan Lazard?
Oh no, they mostly play the way I thought they would play.
Randall Cobb? Nope.
Wait,
don't be surprised if they get David Bakhtiari, his best friend from Green Bay. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if they make another run at Odell.
I would just like to say that Alan Lazard maybe performed a little bit less than the average player that I thought he was. Randall Cobb played like the very old player that he was. I mean, everybody sort of.
All right, so you're a football fan, but you're not a football front office guy. So you would assume that they knew that too. But he wanted him, they got him. He wanted him, they got him. I forget the name of the offensive lineman he wanted. Terrible. He wanted the backup quarterback, Boyle. Awful. Everything he wanted, awful. Everything. Who was that?
You talking about Billy Turner?
Billy Turner. Everybody he wanted. Did anybody step up and play great? He has the keys to Florham Park. He is allowed to run the team. He wanted Zach Wilson to be the backup. For some reason, he wanted that. And you know what? They stupidly said yes, and they cratered their season when he got hurt. Zach Wilson can't play, especially with the Jets. Can't. Hasn't. Won't. So now they found religion this year and got Tyrod Taylor. I wonder if he signed off on that. I'm sure they run everything by him. So now they're going to all of a sudden say no to him? If you spoil your child for the first 6 years of his or her life, they're going to be spoiled. You can't all of a sudden say no. You can't. You can't. Let's go to Scott in North Carolina. Scott.
Hey, guys. Big fan. Missing Don today. Just wanted to say I'm a New York transplant, big Jets fan. I mean, I know they probably can trade him because he's probably still got the no trade. But, I mean, you talked about him walking away. That might be better than the probability that they're going to have anything successful this season. And Tyrod's decent. Peter said they couldn't make the playoffs with him. I disagree. I think that they could easily be a 9-win team with him. They have talent. They get a couple more pieces. So just wanted your thoughts on
the
plug.
The problem, no, I don't think you pull the plug. You're in for a dime. You're in for a dollar. You've sold your soul to the devil. Write it out. You're going to hell anyway. Write it out. You can't all of a sudden back out on the deal. And
You can't tell me that their chances of making the playoffs and going a couple of rounds in the playoff are not better with a healthy Rodgers and Tyrod Taylor. And you know, the dirty little secret is Tyrod Taylor. He gets hurt a lot, too.
Listen, I think all of us are Tyrod fans on this show. I think he's a really solid player, exactly who you'd want to have as a backup and could bridge the gap. He's won 8 games once in his career in 2017. In the years since then, to Michael's point, when he's available, he's a middle-of-the-road quarterback. Again, I'd love to have him. I think it was a great move. The Jets should have made the move last year. They shouldn't let the Giants get him. They should have absolutely had someone there, and he's a great one to have there. But you're telling me that this Jets team, let's not forget, I mean, the talent that they have got called into question over the last season. Even without Rodgers, Michael, as bad as everybody else was, still no one stood out. I mean, if you're really looking at the offensive side of the ball, Garrett Wilson had a bad year last year relative to how talented he is. This is not a team that showed they're necessarily built exactly the way we thought they were. And that group, with Aaron Rodgers, you believe could compete. That group with Tyrod Taylor, yeah, Michael, I could see them winning 7 or 8 games. They're not going to be a playoff team. I'm sorry, I don't see it.
And I keep getting pushback on social media. You know, you say, well, what could they have done? They could have signed Lamar Jackson. The Ravens weren't letting Lamar Jackson get away. It was structured that anybody who offered him a contract, the Ravens would match. The Ravens were doing what other teams do. Go ahead, find out your value. And also, the impediment for all those teams, if you signed him, you had to give up 2 first-round draft picks, too. He wasn't going anywhere. That was not an option for the Jets. Who knows if they even explored it? But they were in on Rodgers from the beginning. They didn't even want to think about anything else. They fell in love. Full-bloom love, as Dave Gettleman would say. And I think that they will regret it forever. What he has done to this organization and the aura around this organization, it's not good. It's not good. And they say it doesn't permeate the walls of the building. It permeates the stink around the team. It's awful. If he said that about Sandy Hook, and if you ask me, do you really believe he said that? Go read the story in Awful Announcing today, because he was on a podcast that specialized in conspiracy theories. He's all in, man. That's who he is. I could definitely have heard him say that, because he did not. He specifically did not deny that he ever said that to Pamela Brown, the reporter from CNN. He specifically didn't deny it. What he said was a word salad cleverly put together to look like he denied it. He didn't deny it. Anybody who doubted that, anybody who put it out there that was a crisis situation with actors and everything, I hope that they feel the pain that those parents feel in their life. I really do. I have a friend of mine who lives close by that area, said that one of the little girls who got killed, the father committed suicide from grief. Yeah, it's all an act, right, Aaron? It's all an act. Families forever, moving forward, have to set an empty plate for a kid that's never coming home. Kids that didn't even have their baby teeth fall out yet were killed. Yeah, but you want to say there's some conspiracy.
You know, it goes all the way back to the JFK assassination with...
Oh, you read that story then?
I'm looking at it now.
It's unbelievable.
The last real president was the first president I studied, which was JFK, said Rodgers. And that's what got me into questioning things, because I did a sophomore project on JFK, life and death.
Sophomore project in high school.
And when I read back in the day, in 98 or 9, you read the story about Lee Harvey Oswald being the sole gunman of the president, this magic bullet theory. I remember thinking to myself in sophomore class, this is bleeping bull bleep. And that got me to questioning things. And now when you go back, and I've read a ton of books about JFK, about his life, he was trying to do some real stuff. He was trying to decrease the power of the Fed and get us back on a metal standard. He was going after corruption. He wasn't letting the OSS, which turned into the CIA, get us into World War III with the Operation Northwoods, which you can go research.
He knows everything. He doubts everything. He also, it actually confused me. He doubts the skylines of cities. He doubts the skylines, like the architecture. There's reasons behind it all that we're not aware of, but he is. He thinks that the whole COVID thing was staged. And again, I'm paraphrasing, so this is not an actual quote, that it was a transfer of wealth to all of Big Pharma.
which he's now getting paychecks from. The Johnson family is the Johnson & Johnson family. I mean, I could go on and on.
Here's an interesting end to the article here. In all seriousness, one of the things that becomes abundantly clear when you listen to Rodgers talk long enough is that he doesn't know what he doesn't know, and he's more than happy to continue not knowing it. He sees so much of the world through the lens of someone who has never had to get in the muck and deal with reality. His, quote, common sense ideas have occurred to everyone, but he lacks the grounding to understand why they're not in place, not to mention who is responsible for that. And he presumes that it means everyone else must be dumber than him, rather than concluding that he needs to educate himself further. Not to mention, it becomes clear that while he appreciates being able to, quote, question things, he very clearly focuses that skepticism on specific areas and not others. He truly embodies the college sophomore problem. If nothing else, living your life as if everything is a conspiracy just sounds depressingly exhausting. Those are the words from the aforementioned awful announcing article by Sean Keeley.
It's really a very jarring story. I mean, I would suggest that every fan out there reads it because you'll see the guy you're dealing with. And I'm not ripping him in the sense that you should be curious and you should question things, but he questions everything and doesn't really have answers. But he just doesn't believe what's out there, but doesn't really tell us the real deal. So do I believe, if you said, Michael, you've got to tell me, do you really think that he said that to Pamela Brown? My guess would be absolutely, just from his history. Absolutely. Because, again, to this moment, he hasn't denied saying it. And again, he issued a statement but didn't deny that he said it.
And he's just got too many, as you can read in this article, there's just too many theories he has that would lead you to think, yeah, that sounds like a plausible one he'd hold too. But again, I think we'll find out from other people if, in fact, he's talked about this before.
And he hangs out in echo chambers that tell him what he wants to know, that tell him what he's leaning toward believing. We all could do that. I think we do that with politics. Those that are on the right, well, they watch Fox. Those that are on the left, they watch MSNBC. Everybody gets the news they want, not the news that's real. That's just the way it is. Mercedes-Benz of White Plains has done it.
Got to get way over yourselves, okay? That's the level that your sport's at, that you're just hanging on the tiger, hanging on for dear life, like the last little nail is holding on to the rope before you plummet to your death. That's all this sport is tiger, tiger, tiger. I hope and pray to God above that he decides to retire and move away, and then you got nothing. Then you got zilch, and I don't have to hear about this stupid sport anymore. I'm tired of your stupid Tiger Woods love. It's embarrassing. If Michael did it with the Yankees, if I did it with hockey, you'd laugh me out of the business. But everybody, good people that I trust and love, you guys just have a crush on Tiger. It's inhuman, it's unhealthy, and it's sick. Well, so I hope Tiger, on his own terms, decides, you know what, I'm done with golf, I'm going to go do something else the rest of my life, and then you're going to have nothing. Nothing. All of a sudden, not talking about how the Masters is the true star of television and how golf is so great because it's so difficult to master and how it's really so great I can walk and get exercise. No, you just love Tiger. Sniff him dead. I'm tired of it. Get him out. And you are a fraud for loving the guy. Enough of it. Please, dear God in heaven above, decide to do something else with your life, Tiger. You've accomplished so much. Just go off so all these people can sit there and cry in their pillow. Tiger's gone. I don't know what to do.
First Big East tournament semifinal since 2000. But winning this tournament is not going to be easy. Next up tomorrow is UConn. That's a 5:30 game at the Garden. We will be across the street from the Garden tomorrow. Our show starts at 3 at the Rutherford on 33rd, right off 8th. Really, literally across the street from the Garden. So drop by and say hello. Patino said at the game, we're extremely happy for St. John's fans and the university. And he also said that he spoke with the university after, what he said. And he said he felt that they were, felt that this season was over, and he said that he felt it was just beginning. I don't know if he's just like changing that. If he knew that this was going to happen after the way they played, they were so awful, and now they've been so magical since he went off on the team. Well, whatever. He is on the cusp of becoming the first coach to take 6 different programs to the NCAA tournament. Guy can coach.
No, there's no doubt. Listen, I hated that moment. I thought it sort of was beyond the pale of reasonable expectation for college kids, but you have to be impressed. They've either he was telling the truth and it really wasn't a big deal with the players, or he sincerely went to them kind of hat in hand, like, "Hey, I went too far, but I love you guys. Let's get this together." And whatever it is, Michael, they're responding right now.
Let's see. Diana Rossini is reporting that the Jets have made wide receiver Alan Lazard available in trade talks this offseason, according to league sources. Lazard is due a $10 million salary this season. I wonder how Aaron feels about that. He loves him somehow, Lazard.
Well, hey, maybe it's the beginning of
pushing back.
Maybe, or maybe it's just a matter of he was like, "Hey, he's like, "Hey, I tried for you, buddy. You weren't good." I don't know.
1-800-919-3776. Let's go to Mark in Syosset. Mark.
Hey, good afternoon, guys.
Good afternoon.
Michael, I could not be in more lockstep with you on this Aaron Rodgers issue. And the thing that I took away from the statement was this. His words were so specific and so tailored when he said what I've always said on the record. And he was clear about that, which means 10 years ago at the Kentucky Derby, what might have been off the record, number one. And number two, that coupled with what happened with the vaccine and the way he misled the public about him getting inoculated, I think was the word, or something comparable. It's a guy who just misleads, says what he wants, and I really believe 100% he said it, and it was probably said exactly as it was portrayed. And it's really just disheartening and disgusting, given what happened with the shootings and the loss of life. It was horrible.
You know what, Mark? It's so easy. Like if it was me, right? If that report was about me, and Pamela Brown and Jake Tapper said that, and I never said it, my statement would be, that's an absolute lie. I never said it. I don't know what they're talking about. I deny to the death that I said that. He never said that. He said, I've said on the record. So on the record, he protects his backside. Off the record, he's spewing. And one of the pushbacks that I saw before we got on the show, Peter, he said it privately. Why should that impact it? Donald Sterling said that stuff privately too, and they made him sell the Clippers. That wasn't anything he said publicly. He said it privately. And exactly. He had to sell the Clippers. So what Sterling said, reprehensible. If Rodgers said that, equally reprehensible. To say that children that were killed, that it was not as it seemed, it's just amazing to me. It's just amazing to me. The things that the NFL gets his nose out of joint on, right? And this one, not a peep. Not a peep. Not a peep from the Jets, not a peep from the NFL.
My guess, okay, there's two things. From the Jets, they've been cowards about Rodgers from the beginning. So, but from the NFL standpoint, Michael, they just know so little about what's going on, and if it was even said, it's still too. I don't think you could base very much on even if it's a reliable person, a private conversation at a party 10 years ago. That's a lot for them to respond to. Maybe responding just to the whole idea of him running for political office while playing in the league is more of a conversation.
I would say, I said this, this is what I was going to say at the start of the show at 3 o'clock if he did not release a statement. I was going to say, listen, even if you said what you said, there's no recording of it, you got to lie. You can't get out from under this if you said this. If you said it, and even if you believe it, you can't get out from under it. It's a stain that will not be washed away. So I would have advised him, if I was his advisor, say you didn't say it. So he essentially is trying to say he didn't say it, but he's got some level of conviction and I guess morals that he will not come out and say that he never said that to Pamela Brown, because he probably did. He's saying he never said publicly, and he never said the events didn't take place, which is true. He never even said to her the events didn't take place. He just said they are not what they seem to be.
So he thinks the events took place, but he doesn't believe.
That is a big difference, though. There is, I mean, as much as I think I'd find all of it to be absurd, there's a big difference between not believing the events took place and believing the information that we were given was, inaccurate.
Let's go to Bill in New Jersey. Bill.
Peter, Michael, it's an honor.
Hey, bud, you too.
So I wanted to talk about Brian Cashman a little bit. His dealing with prospects, I trust him as much as I trust the New York Jets with drafting a quarterback. So for all the prospects that you mentioned that have turned out, and the future is certainly brighter than the past, we still have guys like Davey Garcia and Jesus Montero, Justice Sheffield, Clint Frazier, Paul Bird. These are guys that we were told are the Yankees' future. I don't trust him with being able to deal with these prospects. He is buying high and selling these prospects low.
Well, but you could also look at it in a different way, Bill. How many times has he traded a prospect that became a star? It hasn't really happened. So, I mean, we are locked in on Brian Cashman and the Yankees and also the Mets, and we see the mistakes that they've made. And, yeah, there have been a lot. And Duhar, Frazier, all those guys, you're right. They held on to them too long. But, I mean, it happens with every team, though.
Doesn't that speak to the Yankees' drafts and prospects that they just don't really pan out, with the exception being the few that we have now?
But again, I would ask you this, Bill. How many teams have more starting players than the Yankees do that came out of their system? Even the great players. Great teams are supplemented by trade. So you've got an all-time great player in Aaron Judge, came out of your system. You have a shortstop that won the Gold Glove last year, came out of your system. Jason Dominguez came out of your system. Austin Wells came out of your system. I mean, that's not bad. I'm not going to sit here and defend that the Yankees draft well, but if they really believe in Spencer Jones, Bill, do you want them to trade them? Trade him for a Band-Aid?
Certainly not. But I look at the Tampa Bay Rays. I look at the Houston Astros. I look at other teams that just seem to be figuring this out far better than we are.
Well, I mean, the Houston Astros have won a lot of championships since the Yankees last did. But, they also admitted to cheating in one of the years that they won the championship. So I don't know what to tell you. I think we scrutinize the Yankees a lot more than we scrutinize other teams. But other teams make a lot of mistakes with prospects. And some teams actually trade players that turn to be big-time stars. Tell me when the Yankees have done that. That's more damning than holding on to people. Who have they traded that turned out to be a great star? They made a lot of trades with the Cubs, with the A's, to get players that essentially didn't even help that much because of injuries. Any players rocking your world, and you're pulling your hair out and going, why did they do that? Why did they do that? I can't believe they gave them up. So that's another way to look at it. But you're absolutely right. They've held on to people for too long, devalued them, and then just essentially gave them away. But it's not just a Yankee-centric thing. A lot of teams do that. A lot of teams overvalue their prospects. The smart ones, though, use those prospects and know that they're overvalued publicly and use them in trades. Now, the Yankees have done that with a lot of players. They've held on to others, and it didn't work out. But I don't think that you can sit there and just kill them for it. Let's go to Andres in Lyndhurst. Andres.
Hey, guys. How are you doing, guys?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. I haven't called in a while. I usually call about the Yankees, my Jets, and the Knicks. But for Aaron Rodgers and Woody Johnson, we're tired of it, man, in New York. Ira said it best. Ira didn't want Aaron Rodgers here. Don last year said we have to dare to dance with the devil. And we did, right? We danced with the devil. We signed Aaron Rodgers. We traded for Aaron Rodgers. It's been a complete disaster. 4 plays in. He's terrible. Aaron, if you're listening, we want you out of New York. We don't want you here. Pack your bags and get out. We want you out immediately. Even if we have to go to your house in Montclair, New Jersey, and have to get you out, we want you out. We're tired of Aaron Rodgers in New York. We're tired, man. We're sick and tired of this. We should have signed Derek Carr, but we're sick and tired of this. Him and his little gang, Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard, get that whole gang out of here. David Bakhtiari, we don't want you in New York either. Woody Johnson, you have to clean house. Get rid of Joe Douglas. Get rid of Salah. Get rid of everyone, man. Bring in Justin Fields. Sign Mike Williams. Rebuild and get a new coaching staff in place with a new GM. We cannot take this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you're certainly spirited, but I don't think you do that on March 14th. It's the only coach out there is Bill Belichick. I don't think he's coming to the Jets.
Yeah, this year, none of those things are happening, but I certainly understand the frustration and wanting to reset. Man, you mentioned Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas. I mean, they're now inextricably connected to Rodgers.
Right.
So the second this ends, it ends for all of them.
And we all said it was worth the try for the Jets. And you know what? We were wrong. Because they're not going to win a Super Bowl with this guy, and just the odor that he permeates around a franchise with his odd thoughts and his. It's just weird.
It's giving. What you're saying is it's giving stench and Mamaroneck.
Yeah, I mean, it really is malodorous. It really is.
Malodorous.
It's not great, man. It's not great. He doesn't. I mean, the stuff that he represents. I mean, I don't want to knock a guy for being curious, but you can't think everything in the world is everything can't be a conspiracy. Everything can't be a conspiracy. Again, I can't recommend reading the awful announcing story enough. You got to get inside this guy's head. He doesn't believe anything. Everything is this dark, dark conspiracy. That's why I believe that he said what CNN is reporting. And he made the right move to try to say he didn't, but he didn't say, I didn't say it to her. He said publicly, because he's not stupid, he's smart. You're not going to say something like that publicly, get run out of town. Get run out of the NFL if he said that publicly. Look what happened to Alex Jones, who did say it publicly. He owes them $1 billion. He owes those families $1 billion for the stuff that he said. Crisis actors and stuff like that. Rodgers isn't dumb. But you can be sure he's probably said those stuff to people around the world. And his friends, in events, he has.
I think if he has, though, I think someone's got to say something.
But unless it's recorded, Peter, nobody's going to believe it. Somebody has to have a recording of him saying it. Otherwise, he didn't say it. That's why the CNN report was, Pamela Brown's an established journalist and all that, and she said it, and she went on the record of saying it. But it's his word against her word. And those that believe him are going to believe him no matter what. So you've got to have a smoking gun. Other than the fact that his past history of embracing every single conspiracy, that's the only smoking gun you have, and that's not enough. That's why it was a smart play for him today to try to distance himself from it without issuing a real denial. Because there's no way you get out from under it if you say publicly, yeah, I did say it, and now I don't believe it. But if you even believed it for 1 second, you know what? You're a little off. We had a caller actually try to defend it earlier. Oh, but this and that. There was a kid in a yellow jacket. Oh, please stop. You're embarrassing yourself and your family. Those people are grieving to this day. Their lives have been ruined forever. They'll never be happy again. Never. And you're going to question it? They had to bury their children? And you're going to question it? Say that it didn't really happen. Shame on all of you for thinking that. And if you do have proof, show proof. Don't just give me innuendo. There's somebody with a yellow jacket running around. Give me proof.
Well, Michael, let me send you a few YouTube videos, all right? I think these will clear things up for you.
Right. Well, spring training isn't just for baseball.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation is making another promise. We are committed to eradicating homelessness amongst our veterans. When I'm traveling in different cities across our nation, I see veterans who have served our country living on the streets, and it breaks my heart. We have a proven track record of helping our heroes, and now we're expanding our mission. We have started building these veteran residences all across America. Go to T2T.org to learn how you could change a veteran's life forever.
After months of hibernation, it's time to reemerge. Let spring inspire you to start fresh, too, behind the wheel of a new Ford SUV, featuring power that invigorates, capability to venture way off the grid, and tech that helps you forge a new path. It's a big world. Get out there and experience it. Now, returning lessees can get an Explorer for just $309 a month for 24 months, only at your local Ford stores.
At DraftKings Casino, we give credit where credit is due in casino credits. New players, sign up now and get a deposit match up to $100 in casino credits when you deposit $5 or more. Download America's #1 online casino or play online today. And get a deposit match up to $100 in casino credits when you deposit $5 or more. DraftKings Casino, the crown is yours.
Visit linkedbylovetv.org to learn more about kidney disease, transplantation, and prevention.
Get the facts, get checked, and get healthy.
This is New York. When the action heats up, we know how to get loud. Fact is, we love our Yankees, and we never miss a single game on Yes.
Oh, yes!
Headlined by the captain, Aaron Judge, and the newest superstar, Juan Soto. This season, don't miss Yankees baseball on Yes and the Yes app.
Introducing DirecTV Perks, a brand new loyalty program that gives you rewards on repeat. Join for free today and start earning the rewards you want. It's easy. You can earn discounts, gift cards, movie rentals, and much more. DirecTV Perks is just our way of saying thanks for being a loyal customer. So don't wait. Sign up now for free at directtv.com/perks and earn the show-stopping perks you deserve. Only from DirecTV. Introducing DirecTV Perks, a brand new loyalty program that gives you rewards on repeat. Join for free today and start earning the rewards you want. It's easy. You can earn discounts, gift cards, movie rentals, and much more. DirecTV Perks is just our way of saying thanks for being a loyal customer. So don't wait. Sign up now for free at directtv.com/perks and earn the show-stopping perks you deserve. Only from DirecTV.
Are back and we hit them somewhere you'll never find. Psych! We put them everywhere. Grocery stores and supermarkets, gas stations and chiropractors' offices, bowling alleys and grocery stores, which we already mentioned. Reese's.
My brother Joe and I live right across the state line from each other. We worked our whole lives here. So when he got mesothelioma from working in the yards, we knew who could help. Whites and Luxembourg. Their results and experience are hard to match. Now, Joe's wife and kids are taken care of. I'll never regret making that call as soon as I did.
Call Whites in Luxembourg today at 855-VERDICT. That's 855-VERDICT.
Okay, so Domino's Perfect Combo includes 2 medium one-topping pizzas, 16 Parmesan bread bites, 8 cinnamon twists, and a 2-liter of Coke. Today we're on the street asking real people how much they think it all costs.
All of it?
All of it.
$44, $45? $34.99. The 2 pizzas are probably $10 each.
$75.
What if I told you that this Domino's Perfect Combo is only $19.99?
Shut the front door.
$19.99. No. This will feed a family.
It's Domino's Perfect Combo, and it's all just $19.99.
Hungry Root is here, and I needed it because my fridge is super empty.
I'm going to open the box. That's the exciting part.
Hungry Root came through.
And my refrigerator is packed.
Here for the Michael K. Show. The New York Rangers continue their week of 5 games in 7 days tonight when they take on the Lightning down in Tampa. It's the last of 3 meetings this regular season between the clubs, and the Rangers have taken the first 2 meetings by a combined score of 8-2. A win would mean a second season sweep of the Lightning in the past 3 seasons. Just 3 teams, by the way, have more road wins than the Rangers in the league: the Panthers, Stars, and the Canucks. Artemi Panarin will look to continue his career year. He has already set a career high in goals, eclipsing his total of 32 in his first season with the Rangers. And now he has his sights set on a new point high with 17 games remaining. He is 9 points away from setting the bar there. And in his previous 17 games, the Breadman has been in yeast mode, putting up 24 points over that stretch. The Rangers wrap their busy week in Pittsburgh Saturday and back home for the Isles on Sunday.
Me for the week.
Today's call.
Why?
I actually thought that my take, I thought I had it. I really thought that my take on why not stand up now, what's he going to do, where is he going to go, was better than what you said. What you just said in that clip. You've said 90 times.
What you, to be fair, actually, you gave it to 2 days ago. You gave it to Don retroactively from like 2 days ago.
What do you mean?
You
Today?
said, hey, can Don get point guard on Thursday for a point he made on Tuesday? So technically Don won today.
Well, that still doesn't change the fact that I thought my point on Aaron was better than Michael's. But hey, listen, his name's on the show. Everyone's trying to kiss his fanny at all times.
Oh, my goodness. My point was so much better than yours.
Your point was literally, we've said
so
that
what? You can make great points over and over again.
Everybody says they're stuck with him. The point of maybe now they're not in the exact same position. Maybe the power dynamic has changed slightly. Maybe they should, man up a bit, woman up a bit, show a little cojones or ovaries, if you will, and do something. I think that's a profound point that's being looked past.
Yeah, I agree with the judges. So let's go to Steve in Chappaqua.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Michael. And Peter, I was on the line waiting to talk about the Yankees. But your talk for the last 45 minutes on Aaron Rodgers and conspiracy, I got to tell you, you moved me. It was brilliant journalism. You spoke the truth. Forget about that ESPN, McAfee, and the Jets on your station. You spoke the truth, and you became the voice of the Sandy Hook parents. To me, Michael, you should be proud. And to me, it was like Edward R. Murrow speaking to Joseph McCarthy. You were brilliant, and I congratulate you.
Oh,
I'm proud.
Thank you, Steve. So, see, there you go. That's an earned point guard for me, don't you think, Peter?
Yeah, I'm so moved by what he said. I agreed with every word.
Well, you just hate that anybody actually likes me.
I mean, come on. Anthony, can you do me a favor? Can you humor me with something here?
What's up, Peter?
What was the original call that the gentleman had? Did you know what his original topic was?
It was Yankee related.
Yeah, it was Yankee related.
Really? You don't say. The guy with the Yankee related call just compared him to Edward R. Murrow talking to Joe McCarthy. I mean, by the way, Michael didn't do the show by himself for the last 45 minutes. I thought we both contributed. This wasn't a baseball day where I was hiding in the corner. I thought we were a combo here. Apparently, he only heard Michael just wax poetic. And when I talk to the Yankee fan, they just hear the teachers and peanuts. That's all that happens.
Peter, can you humor me for? I've got to go up and change. I think the color is off on my TV. You look green.
Really?
With envy.
Oh my God! Really? Yeah. You think I'm jealous?
Let's go to Angelo in Island Park. Angelo.
Hi. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine. I have not solution, but what I would like to see on opening day.
Let's hear it.
Is an opening of Marinaccio, then go to Rodin, then go to Loaziga, then go to Holmes.
What you want Rodon to pitch in relief?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the phone call, Angelo. No, not because. They need a starter for game 2. So you're going to start Rodon as a second inning. Also, Ron Marinaccio, the way he's pitched in spring training, there's a real good chance he's not making the team. So that is a very odd choice by you. I'm not saying
point guard material, perhaps.
And no, point. Oh my God, GAWD. There's a chance they go with an opener, but the people that you just named, no, that's not happening. No. ENN's coming up in just a moment. Jump into spring at Mercedes.